Today on the Black Channel, we're going to have a discussion / meeting about what do we do and what are we going to do about judicial injustice. What you're not going to hear about is politics. So don't have a whole lot to say about politics or politicians. That is not on the menu, and that's not in the format. However, what we do need, definitely we need to have a judicial class. Currently, we don't have that. Currently, we don't have any type of judicial class whatsoever. And as a result of that complete lack, which thank you to the civil rights generation for abandoning their post, the civil rights generation completely abandoned their post. And as a result of that absolute negligence, created a situation where there's nobody to mount a reasonable defense against the vicious white supremacist offense. That's the bottom line. Because without that being available, they are taking full advantage of the fact that there's nobody defending anything. That's the issue. Without any type of reasonable defense, you're experiencing what you're experiencing right now. And I want that to sink in. I want you to see all the white supremacists doing their victory lap, celebrating injustice. I don't want to hide that from you. I want that to sink in. I want the pain and the discomfort and the humiliation. I want that to sink in. I want it to be real to you. I don't want it to be something you see happening to somebody over there. I want that to be something that you internalize. I want it to be that. I want it to be undeniable. I want it to hurt. I don't want it to sting. I want it to be agonizing. I want it to be agonizing, undeniable, and inescapable. That's what I want it to be. I want it to be that. Because that's the only thing that gets people's attention. Unfortunately, for most people, that's the only thing that gets their attention and keeps their attention, is when it hurts so much that it completely disrupts everything else and wipes everything else that they were distracting themselves with off the table. And maybe, just maybe, we're there now. Maybe. We're in big trouble. We are in big trouble. And of all the things that I could use to illustrate how bad the situation is and how screwed up it is and how badly previous generations and factions have mismanaged this and gotten us into, I can't think of anything that sums it up better than what you're seeing on your screens here right now. We did this before, and I want folks to see this. I want you all to see this if you hadn't seen it before. I want you to see about this. Clowns. This is the clown show. And I said that. You have your HBCUs, and this is the damn clown show. Instead of your young black manhood being prepared to combat this evil, demonic, white supremacist system, they are instead being groomed by suspect individuals and their clown-ass, coon-ass families, I said it, to focus on being the damn minstrel show. While these other folks are working on tech incubators and coming out with billions of dollars of value, this is the mindset that they are encouraging with your young black males at your HBCUs. You've removed the white supremacist influence and you're teaching them to be entertaining instead of empowering. You're teaching them that in order for them to be accepted by you, that this is what they have to focus on. And this is how you end up with god-awful lowlives like Mark Lamont Hill and Roland Martin and Michael Eric Dyson and the rest of the stinking filth. These weaklings and effete individuals, this is what they focus on. But the real crime are all the clowns and coons in the stands cheering it on. They should be booing. They should be throwing their drinks. They should be throwing rotten fruit. And it should be clear to everyone while they're wearing their Marquis de Sade, all eyes wide shut masks, by the way. They got them fully groomed for Epstein Island. And teaching them that this is what they need to focus on. And meanwhile, as soon as you walk your ass outside that door, this is where you end up helpless in the jaws and in the grip of the beast. I want to say this to all of my members of every generation that is listening to me here right now. I said this 2 decades ago, and I say it again. Brothers and sisters from around the world, we all we got. And by we, I'm referring to intelligent black society. We're all we got. The coons of the civil rights generation, at this point, they simply want a peaceful death, which is what I've warned you about forever. They're not backing nothing up. Them niggas sold their souls a long damn time ago, and now all they want's a peaceful death, even if that means selling you out. They do it gladly. Selling you out like the African slave traders, selling you out, putting you on the boat. At least now they don't have to hear the noise anymore. When we talk about subhuman bastards, you have to include them. The Negro collaborator has to be included in that number. You have no backup from the so-called talented 10th. The talented 10th were a bunch of liars. Even if the intention was good, they were liars. Let me go ahead and give one warning here. By the way, anybody who says that there's an issue with this streaming, that's on your end. So if you say that, this is your first and only warning. You'll be removed because you get white supremacists who try to come in and disrupt. If you say there's a problem with the stream, you're going to be removed. And today I'm removing people permanently. So if you say there's an issue with it, just understand, I'm just going to ban you. I don't even have mods here today. I don't need them. I'm just going to ban you. So that happens. By the way, let me go ahead and ban this person already. So let me go ahead and do them. If anybody else would like to give a false announcement about the stream, by all means, we're ready for you. So anybody else who'd like to join them in the shadow realm, step forward. As I was saying, you don't have any backup from any of these people. You don't have backup from the so-called talented 10th, the Byron Allens. The Byron Allens, I've warned you forever. I'm just going to call it for what it is because you see, I know these folks. Most of these people brothers and sisters, most of them, their only goal was to get them a white woman. I got to say it straight, no chaser. Their only goal was to get them a white woman and to be able to go off on the cocktail circuit and to rub elbows and be big wigs among the white businesses, the white academia, the white schools, the white politicians, the white moguls that they had read about. The ones they had read about in the magazines and the ones they had seen on television. Their only goal was to get their weight up good enough so that they could stand with those people. And yes, their primary goal was interracial sexual access. And they would attempt to use black people as their base and their foundation to put social pressure on these white entities to let them in. Once they had their entrance, then they were done with black folk. Mission accomplished. Ain't that right, Byron Allen? You see, when A-Dunce was making their run, I was one of the very first people. One of the very first people. One of the very first people to make it clear that Byron Allen was not on our team. But you see, there's the other issue, is that there's so few black folk who got any real capital to speak of, that what ends up happening is that everybody sits up here and makes a beeline to whoever got the biggest bag, never mind the fact that they ain't handing out nothing. So the so-called talented 10th, you're not going to get any backup from them. They're not on the same mission that you're on, assuming that you're on a mission at all, by the way, because at least they have a mission. However, for the rest of us out here, the question we're going to tackle today is whether or not we got a mission at all. Whether or not we got a mission at all. I want folks in the chat room to be focused. Don't make a bunch of random comments, because I'm explaining to you exactly what we're here for. Have a side conversation with yourself later. Do not expect any backup from the ridiculous, damned Divine Nine. They are the coons and the clowns, as they've always been. They are a large group of individuals who never tire of patting themselves on the back and pretending that they are the black equivalent of the white secret societies. That was these low-life niggas' goal from the very beginning, was to ape and imitate and copycat the white power brokers. And what they decided to do was, well, if they won't let us in to be Greeks, we'll just be some copycat knockoff Greeks. And even that would have been acceptable had they actually used what they're getting organized and focused it in a specific direction. But all they really do is focus it on line booty dancing with other males. And this is how you end up with a clown like Roland Martin, whose only goal in life is to get the Democrats to give him a check. What he's not doing is trying to change a damn thing, because if you're going to change things, you have to confront the Democrats head on, just like you confront the Republicans. They are both equally as evil. And the so-called fraternities, black fraternities and black sororities, are collaborators. They never tire of telling you about their little get-togethers, though they do leave out the details about their freak-offs. Because you can't be a sorority sister if you ain't been passed around. And if that sounds to you like the sex cults of the white fraternities and the white secret societies. Yeah, now you understand it. So you can't really be a sorority sister if you ain't been passed around. And as we're seeing with the fraternities, can't really be a frat brother if you won't give another brother a little something. What them clown ass niggas don't do is get together. Let me explain something to y'all. You don't see them forming a black law firm with their so-called fraternity brothers. You would figure that after a damn century, over a century, that one of your so-called black fraternities from one of your so-called historically black colleges and universities would have formed the Morgan and Morgan. We got new white law firms forming, and the black fraternities ain't created the first one yet. Kind of makes you think that that's not really their goal. As a matter of fact, that they don't even want to do it. Folks, that's not an oversight. That's the plan. They don't want to do that. As a matter of fact, they'll discourage you from it because they see their goal of, quote, organizing and congregating together as a fraternity. That's supposed to give them leverage in white society with white corporations and white law firms. Their only goal is to get together and sell themselves down the river now. That's their goal. Get you together and sell yourself down the river and brag about it. That's not accidental. You can't go for 150 damn years and you all have had nothing but constant congregation with each other and nobody got serious about this in a century and a half. And then you have to ask yourself a different question, and I'm going to move on to the next group here, but then you have to ask yourself a different question. By the way, who was it who originally organized the so-called historically black colleges and universities in the first place? Was it black people who organized them? Who was it who originally established the so-called black, historically black colleges and universities in the first place? Because I couldn't help but notice that they don't actually serve our interests. As a matter of fact, they are in conflict, direct conflict against us. How is it you can be there all this time and yet you are failing to serve our interests? As a matter of fact, you're proud to brag that you don't. And then I'm like, wait a minute, back up. While we check in people's paperwork internationally, we need to check people's paperwork domestically. And when you start taking a look at the non-black people who created your so-called historically black colleges and universities, then it starts to become obvious why they have been so, quote unquote, ineffective. Well, I say ineffective for us. Maybe they've been very effective. Maybe their whole job is to lure you in. And once they get you there, all right, let's start brainwashing you to get you off of any ideas about doing something productive for your people. And let's go ahead and get you misdirected. Which seems to be the only thing that your historically black colleges and universities and the fraternities and sororities that they spawned are good at. Now, this can't be me being hyperbolic. After a century and a half, them niggas should have something that they can show you of real significance. Now, I'm talking about billions of dollars. If you look up a century and a half later and they ain't got a damn thing to show you except a bunch of moist little niggas booty dancing on each other, that this is what they spent their time focusing on, well, what's their real goal? And I submit to you this right here, this is the only goal. Keep you dancing, keep you distracted, while the white kids at the white institutions, they're being told walking in the door. Now you're focusing on this $1 billion investment, right? Show me your black fraternities or black sororities that are having roundtable discussions about power, wealth, and influence. People, I'll wait. You want to talk about starting a hedge fund, an investment fund? Show me one of your black fraternities or sororities that's discussed, that has established any of that. They've had decades. Folks, you realize we're like, almost 40 years since Spike Lee's School Days? That's not accidental. It's been decades and they ain't got a damn thing to show for it but booty line dancing on each other, just like they were doing 4 decades ago, 8 decades ago. That's not accidental. So don't expect any help from the old niggas of the civil rights generation. Don't expect any help from the so-called Divine Nine and your black fraternities and sororities. Don't expect any help from your historically black college and university graduates, unfortunately. Don't expect any help from them because they are collaborators and part of the problem. Contrary to what the white media might try to indoctrinate you to think, they are not the solution to the problem. They are the problem. Do not expect any assistance or help whatsoever from your black so-called politicians. The black politicians are all fully vetted by the white supremacist establishment, and their entire goal is to help and collaborate. And whether it was Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, George Floyd, Carmelo Anthony, there's a reason why there has always been a deafening silence. Do not expect any help from them whatsoever. They are not collaborators with the enemy. Damn it, they are card-carrying members of the enemy. Do not expect any help or assistance from the old dead black media, those of you nostalgic for Tom Joyner and all of the coons and clowns who were around him. And I'm looking at you, Tavis Smiley. I'm looking at you, Roland Martin. I'm looking at all you old niggas from back then. I let none of you off the hook. Not a one. Don't expect any help from them. They're all looking to see if they can redeem their card to get back in Master's house. And I don't want you to be deceived about that one bit. All them niggas who used to be on terrestrial radio or cable television, they are all jockeying for a position to get back there. That's the carrot dangling on the stick that the dominant society has over their heads, is to promise them that at some point they might be able to get their old jobs back, because that's what old niggas value. Old niggas value titles. Old niggas value job positions. Old niggas don't see value in saying what they own. They see value in flexing to other niggas about where they work, who they with, who they signed a contract with. That's where they get their value. That's why they went to the HBCU. That's why they joined their fraternity and sorority. That's why they're doing what they do, so that they can go brag to other people about who they work for and go flex that on other poor people. That's right. I'm working over here at the company. I'm working over here at the plant. I'm a contributor on CNN. Let me go post that on my social media. Ha! And that's why when white society closes the door on their asses, they immediately sink into irrelevance. Which is why so many of them now, looking at you, Joy Reid, so many of them now are desperately dangling. It's going to be hard, though, because you see, the problem is is filling up too quickly with all you cast-offs. Don't expect any help from the athlete entertainer class. Of all the groups that bear responsibility for this, the so-called athlete entertainer class is at the front of that line. This weekend, I'm going to be going into a lot more detail about this, but brothers and sisters from around the world, I have spent my life broadcasting to make you all aware of who it was and who it is that over the last century, whether it is the Kellogg's Corn Flakes Company, whether it's the Welch's Jelly Company, the Ford Motor Company, in American, in Western and white society, the businesses fund white supremacy. They don't just make a profit and then go off and go buy some cars and a mansion and then go try to do their best imitation of Hugh Hefner. That's not what happens, people. That's never been what's happened. That's never been the case. When they make a large pot of money, they take some of that money and reinvest it in white supremacy, in eugenics, in propaganda, in eminent domain, in stealing your intellectual property, in creating Fox News and all the others. They don't just take the money and go off and try to be voluptuaries with a harem of females. They take that damn money, they make $1 billion, and then they go take $50 or $100 million and go invest that back into white supremacy, into programs and think tanks that promote the white supremacist agenda. So these foundations and think tanks that have been going for decades and decades, and it's like, who the hell's keeping them all papered up? Who the hell's giving them money? The white men that got millions of dollars, the white men with billions of dollars, the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, the Bill Gateses, the Warren Buffetts, the Jeff Bezoses, the Elon Musks. They don't just take the damn money. Elon doesn't just get some penthouses for all his baby mamas. That's the difference between him and NBA players. He gets some penthouses for the baby mamas, and then he goes and throws $1 billion into white supremacy and eugenics. That's the difference. They're not confused. When they go have their freak-offs and their harems, they don't come out of the damn room confused that that's the purpose of life. Elon Musk is a strung-out drug addict. Weed, ketamine, to all the jackass clowns who tried to talk about how great Elon Musk smoked weed. Okay, and you look as stupid as him now. You don't hear them talking anymore. And that brings me to the last, well, let me finish about that. The entertainer and athlete class. Folks, do you realize how many NFL players I have counted up over just this season alone who have contracts that are paying them $20 to $50 million per year? Not over the course of the contract. They've signed contracts for $100 million, $200 million in the NFL, in the NBA, contracts for $100 million and $200 and $250 million, where they get paid $20 to $50 million per year. Folks, do you understand? Do you realize how much stored wealth you need to have in order to just give somebody $100 million and not miss it? Do you understand how much stored wealth you need to have in order to just give somebody $2 million and not miss it? Do you understand how much of a check you got to get up front to have $2 million in disposable income? in disposable stored wealth that you can just send somewhere and no matter how it turns out, it ain't gonna break you. When you've got literally hundreds of males and dozens of them are making $20 million a year and not even one of them, not even one, has lifted a finger to take 5% of that. 5%, not 95, 5%, and pay it forward. When your richest and most affluent, and that goes from the talented 10th to the sports entertainer class, not a one of them. Hey, folks, it lets you know that they don't let you in unless you have been co-opted by the system. That's what they're letting you know. You can't be a part of this team if you're not collaborating with us, and collaborating with us means you make it very clear you're here to support the system. I want to also tell you all that do not deceive yourselves into thinking that they are pressured into it. That is the lie you want to believe. You want to believe that they're pressured into it. You want to believe that they're coerced into it. No, they're not. They went there for the specific purposes of selling out. What you see in the end is the final result. And that brings me to the last group of feckless, low-life, degenerate, backward-ass niggers that you will not be able to count on. And this one is the most disturbing. Take a look out there in those stands, people. I had you focusing on the sideshow in the middle of the floor, but now I want you to focus your attention on the coons and clowns in the gallery. This is white supremacy's greatest weapon and white supremacy's greatest strength. Mass distraction, mass coonery, mass clownery, group coon contagion. This is white supremacy's greatest achievement. The ability to get the group and the crowd to be able to follow their twisted program of distraction, and not just follow it, but to stand there and cheer. You see this with their sports and entertainment. You see this with the NFL. You see this with the NBA. You see this in all these other places. When they've conditioned all these clowns and lowlives in the middle of a damn war zone, they've got them conditioned to sit there and cheer and celebrate. And understand, this is a strategy that has been cultivated and perfected over the course of centuries on the plantations. Remember, there was dancing and singing there too. Remember? Under Massa's watchful eye, of course. But there was dancing and singing there too. Remember? On the plantations. By the way, y'all, on the plantations, not only was there dancing and singing, there was dancing, there was singing, there was liquor, there was sex. Do you all understand that? For those of you who do not remember, or for those of you who were not aware, on the plantations, assuming that you survived and assuming you got your work done and whatnot, on the plantations, man, look here. They'd have their buck dancing jubilees. They'd be laughing. They'd be singing. There was alcohol. They'd be drinking. And of course, we want to make sure we breed more slaves for Massa, so he wasn't going to get in the way of that. So if any of you thought that that was not happening under chattel slavery, it's, oh no, you're completely wrong. You're completely wrong. Why do you think that Harriet Tubman said that she had so much trouble convincing most slaves that they were slaves? The first generations of slaves understood that they were slaves. By the time you got to the second or third generation, they just considered themselves to be woefully disadvantaged members of Mass's family. We're the members of Mass's family that he don't treat as well as some of the others, but I mean, he's an abusive daddy, but he's still daddy. And I show you that mindset, Roland Martin, Byron Allen, the NBA, the NFL, and all the coons and clowns within, persists to this day. It persists to this day. And the buck dancing Sambos out in the stands, not the main event down there on the floor, but the real problem is up there in the stands. The individuals, the masses that have been turned by these vampires. There's the biggest obstacle and biggest opponent that you're going to encounter. Please understand that. That is the biggest obstacle and biggest opponent that you're going to encounter. That's the bad news. Here's the good news. I've met their kind before. I've dealt with their kind before. They're not smart. They're not geniuses. They don't have strong beliefs and they don't have strong convictions. Don't be fooled into that. They don't have strong beliefs. They don't have strong convictions. They follow whoever has the most influence. They follow whoever has the most strength, and being able to overpower them and overspeak them isn't hard. Because you see, they don't actually invest in anything. When you sit up and watch the folks who would dance to Luther Campbell and his Two Live Sleaze music, those were not people of strong character, people of strong principles, people of strong pride. That's not who that is. That's not who that was. That's not who it ever was. That's not who it is today. The folks dancing to Nicki Minaj and whatnot, they're the freaking buck dancing peanut gallery. They would be dancing to country music if the dominant society imposes that. Oh, wait a minute. Weren't they doing that with Beyonce just a few years ago? You see how easily manipulated that they are. So don't fool yourself into thinking that this is some strong unit of highly principled individuals and that this is a principled statement that they're making and that they're really strong in the culture. These are weak individuals, which is why they are going along with weakness. So, believe me, overcoming them isn't quite as difficult as you would think to yourself that it would be. Primarily because they don't have anything. They don't own anything of value. So actually being able to overtake them and to take the lead over them is not quite as difficult as you think if you have investment in the right area. However, you'd have to have enough of it. You don't have to have billions, but you need to have significantly more than they've got. The good news is it's not too difficult to get significantly more than they've got, but you'd have to have significantly more than they have, which is next to nothing. And from there, you start having influence. Because at the end of the day, I want you to understand the coons and clowns out here, they're not offering those kids anything. These boys out here booty buck line dancing, these niggas in the stands aren't offering them anything. When they get finished doing their lady boys showgirls routine here, them folk out here ain't gonna offer them nothing. Not a job, not investment, not capital, not connections, not networking. They're not gonna offer them a damn thing. Nothing. Nothing. So I want you to be aware that when you take a look at the masses in the stands who have been the biggest component in enabling travesties of justice, like what just happened with Carmelo Anthony, when you take a look at these folk and realize that they're the root of the problem in so many ways, I'm doing all this. I went through this explanation for the last 40 minutes because I want you to know who we're really up against first. Not who you think we're up against, not who you feel we're up against. I want you to know what the real opposition is, what the real odds are, and what the real stakes are. I want you to know what that is. In no uncertain terms, if you are not on the same page we're on right now about who our damn ops are, you don't belong here. You're part of the problem. There are no sacred cows when it comes to identifying your enemies. There are no sacred cows. You have to be brutally honest about who it is that is with you and who it is that is so plainly against you. There are no sacred cows here. And that's why I've articulated that. And that now brings me to the next step here. People have asked, what do you do about it? They've asked, what do we do about it? I will express one thing. It is very much a shame that I have to have a program like this, because this is the definition of insecure, and by that I mean non-secure. The world can hear what we're saying here, and that's not an effective way to be able to strategize, much less to be able to execute something when you're in a war zone, is having to broadcast it to a bunch of people. But unfortunately, because we haven't had anything properly set up before, that's where we at. By the way, when I speak about the useless bastards of the old black media, I'm also talking about your ridiculous ass Tom Joyner. Tom Joyner made tens of millions of dollars, and once again, a couple of million left over back when it really would make a damn difference. Can you imagine what Dallas would be today if he had taken just a couple of $1 million, put that aside, and invested that? Think about where it would be faithfully, consistently left in one place. Imagine where we'd be today if he had done that. So don't talk to me about the Ricky Smileys or the rest of them coons. I'm calling them coons because that's who and what they are. They have had way more resources than any of us, with their screwed up kids and their screwed up families and their screwed up situations. So I guess that's why Master chose him, because he could tell these clown ass niggas wasn't no threat. The rest of us, unfortunately, have to get it out the mud at a colossal level, because every year, as you devalue the dollar, the task gets bigger and bigger. What we have to surmount and overcome gets bigger and bigger. So that ends up being what we have to do. At the HBCUs, I want to have a moment to talk about that. I want to discuss and talk about that. We are lacking a legal class. We don't have a legal class. We don't have one, and that needs to be dealt with. I don't have all of the answers necessarily, but what I am saying is that we are the only ones who are going to invest in that if that is going to occur. Folks, if it's going to occur and if it's going to happen, I named for you all the elements that we can't count on. By the way, you can throw the so-called black church in there. I think that one explains itself. Don't look for any help or backup from the black sororities and fraternities. Don't look for any help from the black church. Not happening. Not occurring. After a little while, you start saying, well, I'll be damned, Jason, you've named everybody. Brother, sister, we all we got. We all we got. We had one Thurgood Marshall. After him, you had one Johnny Cochran. We don't need to have one, folks. We need to have one army, not just one. I'm pinning the link to the Zoom in the chat room there. And I would like to posit an idea. I'd like to posit something here. I don't like to discuss this publicly. I'm going to be a little vague. Because I have to be. But what I'm going to say here is that I want us to seriously investigate being able to fund, because young people ain't gonna listen to you bumping your damn gums and talking about your principles. Young people are gonna listen to folks who invest in them, and that's the way it should be, by the way. They go chasing white corporations because at least they're willing to invest. At least they're willing to invest. So for folks here, we got your so-called HBCUs with your law programs. I want to discuss about what we need to do to be a part of that, to do some outreach to our young law students before they get to graduate school, so that we can have contacts and inroads with them. And this is a long-term project. To anybody who is telling themselves that this will be taken care of tomorrow, no, it won't. This is going to be a long-term project, but the seeds should have been planted a damn century ago. They weren't. The seeds should have been planted a century ago, but they weren't. We should have full-grown forest groves by now. We don't have a single damn tree because so many buck-dancing, butt-kissing buffoons out there have adopted the suicidal behavior and culture of wanting a peaceful death. Well, for those of us who don't want to peacefully die with them, we're going to have to do something different. So if we're going to see such a thing occur, we're going to have to do some investment. It would be great if the most papered up, resourced people in the room would do it. But as I've explained to you, the folks who got the most resources are our enemies. We're going to have to start having and amassing resources of our own, because the folks with the most resources, whether they're the old niggas or whether they're the folks who got called up by the dominant society, those are our enemies. They are in direct opposition to us. They're working with the white supremacists to undermine us. They are actively working against us. So in addition to having to take on the white supremacist structure, we are also going to have to take on we're going to take white supremacist collaborators. We're also going to have to take on the collaborators in black society with the white supremacists. So you can't just say, okay, we'll go after them over there. No. You got foot soldiers who have infiltrated you over here. Or at least foot soldiers who are pretending to be on your side over here. So they're hiding behind your back. And while you're hacking and slashing at the white supremacists, he's behind you hacking and slashing at you. So they've got you in the middle. I don't know how many we would start off with. I suppose we can just start off with whatever we have. But if we're going to invest in something, folks, it's going to be a long-term thing. It's not going to be tomorrow. You're looking at a 5 to 10 year effort at least. You're looking at a 5 to 10 year effort at least. But we need to start making legitimate efforts to be a part of their lives, to reach out to them, to offer resources so that they have a reason to listen. We can't wait until they get to graduate school and start putting their eyes on Morgan and Morgan or something. And I'm not saying that they can't go to work for the big law firms. As a matter of fact, I think that's a very good positive that they go to work for the big law firms so that they can learn the ins and outs and learn how things work with those places so that they can be effective. So I don't have a problem with that, just so long as they bring the knowledge and the expertise back so that we can have a defense against these things. We don't need another singing slut from Ski Wee talking about she's running for mayor or she's running to be judge. We don't need that. We don't need another singing, twerking mammy who wants to be elected judge so that they can go brag to people about, see what I did with my degree? Don't the rest of y'all wish you was sweet like me? We don't need that garbage. So we're talking today. I brought you all here today so that we can have a conversation about that. We will also need to have a conversation about the medical class as well. The legal class is one issue. The medical class is another one. Both of those are things that need to be addressed. We're going to address the medical one at a future date. We're not going to deal with that today. So put that on the back burner. Anybody who gets ADHD and decides they're going to try to jam that in, I'm going to make an example of you. You heard me the first time. We'll talk about that at a later date. But right now, we're going to deal with one thing at a time. We need to have access to these places. So what I want to do, if I got any of my attorneys out there, if I have any of my law students out there, if I have any of my HBCU students who go to schools that have law programs, I want to have a talk here today so we can get some inside information about that and so we can come to some terms about exactly what's expected and exactly what would be expected. I want us to have a conversation about that. Because you want to talk about what do we do about situations like that. I want you all to understand something. George Zimmerman should have been sued into oblivion. After Trayvon Martin was murdered, George Zimmerman should have been fighting civil lawsuits for the remainder of his life. Daniel Pentalio and all the rest of them. They should have been walked right out of that courtroom, straight into civil court, and they should have had lawsuits against them piled up like Jeffrey Epstein and Bernard Madoff. And did that ever happen? Well, no, because your coon-ass, clown-ass black legal class today are a bunch of feckless, failed ambulance chasers. So you see, that didn't occur. So I'm taking a time today to remind you all, by the way, did any of those white supremacists get sued like that? All of them should have been dealt with. You shouldn't be wondering where George Zimmerman is. You should know exactly what courtroom he's going to, what date and what time he's going. Because he should be under civil suit to this day. So no one should be wondering about that. No one should be wondering whether or not that's the issue. You should know exactly where he is. You should know exactly where he is because they should be telling you, hey, man, we know exactly what date, what time he's being sued again. This is his fifth lawsuit here. That's what should have been going on. That's what should have been happening. You don't have that for a reason. You don't have that for a reason. But I just wanted to remind you that that's the reason you're supposed to have a black legal class. The reason you're supposed to have a black legal class is so that when those kind of things happen, like the Nazis, when they got out, the Jewish lawyers were following all of them. They were following them. So do you get the point? Do you get the point? I want to show you all the dimensions that this should have been working on already. You should have already had a black legal class that was just like, while they were sitting there in criminal court, they were already teeing them up for civil court. Should have been doing that. In the chat room, all of them. I don't give a damn if they were in my films or not. Not a single one of them has been worth a damn. And I said that. Not a single one. Summarily, and the reason is because they are summarily incompetent, unintelligent, and worthless. Which is why either syndicated television or the internet boosts them. But if you want me to just be totally honest with you, because I'm the only one who will be, Jason, did you just say that? I've been saying it for years. I'm not telling you what somebody else told me. I know these people. I am unimpressed because there's nothing to impress me. They are summarily incompetent. They're summarily incompetent. That doesn't happen by accident. If any of them was another Johnny Cochran, I would be telling you all. If any of them were competent, I would be the first one telling y'all. But you know why I'd be the first one telling you? Because I'd be working with them. If any of them were competent, I would be working with them. We'd already be getting things done because I don't bull jive around. I ain't working with them because there's nothing to work with. And that's real. I don't care how entertaining they've been to you. I don't care how many reels you've watched. I don't care if your grandmama was watching them after Oprah. They're incompetent. Incompetent, incapable. And this is why you ain't seen nothing. And nobody can get mad at me. If you want to get mad at something, show me your damn results. Oh, wait a minute, you can't. So there's a reason you ain't never seen me sing nobody's praises and like, well, Jason, don't you know this person here? Yes, I do. Well, ain't they? No, brother, calm down. Yeah, it ain't what you think it is. It ain't. And because I'm not some feckless groupie that goes around name dropping. See, there's the real problem is the average nigga would have got on YouTube and they be dropping these people's names every week or something, trying to chase clout for themselves. That's what makes me different. I don't try to live off another nigga's name. I don't sit up and drop names for clout. I work behind the scenes. If I work behind the scenes, I don't tell the whole damn world. That's bad strategy. Like what I have to do here today. This is bad strategy, by the way. But the alternative is nothing at all. So don't delude yourselves about what you have and what we have. I'm just telling you, baby, we ain't got nothing. We don't. We don't. Do not let the fact that you've seen anybody in my circle or in my circumference deceive you into thinking we got something. We don't. If we did, you would have seen me tell you. If Jason Black isn't saying anything, he's trying to say something. If TBA ain't saying something, he's trying to say something. And if you're looking at folk you think on the team, and I'm not, and well, Jason, you know them, and hey, I seen them with you, but you're not saying nothing. Nigga, I'm trying to say something. If your simple-minded ass don't understand, hey, dude, you sitting up here jumping around and getting excited, and I know them much better than you. And I'm not saying anything. I'm trying to say something to your goofy ass. I'm not saying anything. That tells you everything you need to know. You ready to jump forward and hop out the window. And a fella who knows a lot more than you ain't moved, you go be a stupid, brain-dead, goofy-ass groupie if you want to be. You saw me standing still, and you knew what that meant. So if you want to be a cheerleader and put your pom-poms on and snap your G-string and go make a fool of yourself, well, you go do that. But you saw me standing still. You saw me not moving. You know what that means. But once again, the brain-dead zombie follower class, let them do what they do. Let them do what they do. For everybody else who's more serious, I want to have a different discussion. Let me go ahead and jump over here on Zoom right quick. The Zoom is pinned there in the chat room. You see where it says call us on Zoom. If you want to join us for that, you can. Let me go ahead and get Christian up here on Zoom. Christian, what's on your mind?
Nothing much, Jason. Definitely thank you for having me.
I haven't heard from you in a while, brother.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yes, sir. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
If Jason ain't saying nothing, he's trying to say something, y'all. But go ahead.
Yeah. So I was wondering, as the IT guy, what could I do from a finance perspective to support the effort to kind of get some lawyers for us? I mean, if we just you started with 3 or 4, just so because we had nobody. So if I got to go to FAMU School of Law and go find somebody and say, hey, I'll throw you X amount of dollars, like how do you think we should approach that?
Right now, the best friend that you can have is the best friend in politics, which is ready cash. Unless you're going to go to law school yourself, the folks who are already there, I'm like, we don't have to reinvent the damn wheel. The white corporations have no problem whatsoever poaching them off. The difference is they see a bunch of people coming to them with a handful of gimme and a mouthful of want and not offering anything in return. I just had a patron, and I don't talk about my other YouTube channel here, but I just had a patron where I was making a point to people. Damn it, when you go up to somebody with resources, they have something you want, they have resources, you should be ready when they ask, now what's in it for me? And as young college students, as law students, as medical students, I would be approaching them knowing what they're gearing themselves up for. I'm assuming they want to know what's in it for them because they got a bunch. They're trying to get something valuable and something resourceful. Okay, what are we offering that's in it for them? Now, there is one thing that we do know. What we do know is that 80% of lawyers come out of law school with tremendous amounts of debt. And for the first 3 years, they make between $60,000 and $80,000. Now, that's something that we know. They might rack up a couple $100,000 in debt. What they don't know is that you're going to be living on bread and water for the first few years when you get out. And most lawyers really never get above $200,000 a year because most of them are not excellent. Now, excellent lawyers make $500,000 to $1 million. But most lawyers are not excellent. Most lawyers are mediocre, which is why most people have bad stories about attorneys, because most attorneys are not excellent. Most attorneys are mediocre at best and substandard at worst. So for those who, and I don't want to go into too many details here because I do have a lot of ideas, which I think are valid as far as a vetting process. Let's just say if you do find the right candidates, you're going to have to be prepared to answer the question, okay, what's in it for them? What are we offering? And the first thing that gets their attention is, okay, they didn't just talk about investing spiritually in me. We want to invest in you, young man. We got your back. And he's like, okay, well, I got Perkins loans. You got my back, but I got Perkins loans. What are we going to do? I got Perkins loans that I can't discharge because it's against the law. It's the law that you can't get rid of your student loans. So what y'all gonna do for me? Well, brother, we got your back, and we're gonna have a fish fry and feel good. Man, get the hell out of here. You want his damn attention? I don't give a damn how young he is. Talk to him like you got some sense. Hey, how much of this Perkins loan y'all gonna help me out with? And then we need to be ready to answer that. You know, like the guys who went to Turning Point USA, and the guys who went to Mark Zuckerberg, and the guys who went to, what's his name, from Twitter, and the rest of them. You get the idea. Yeah, like the guys who went to them. Those young men were intelligent and resourceful. They had an idea. This would be valuable. And they said, what's in it for me? And them fellas said, here's the bag. And they've had their attention and their ear ever since. So all I'm going to say, brother, is you need to be like taking a look at the bank account and be like, okay, how much of that do we need? Do I have available to help discharge that so somebody will listen? That right there. You don't have to jump no pews. You don't have to take up on a second job. You don't have to get yourself a degree or whatever. We need folks who got some stored wealth. That's the conversation I'm having today. Who's got some stored wealth so that we have something to offer these people here, because we're complaining about the good lawyers not paying attention. Yeah, because somebody else got their attention because they didn't come to them with good intentions. They came to them with resources. Okay, that's going to have to be us. And we're the only ones who going to do it.
Right. Okay. That makes sense, and I appreciate you.
What I'm going to do is, at a certain point here, I'm going to put out a public call for that so that everybody who wants to contribute to that can do that. Everybody who wants to contribute to that can do that, and I'll be a part of it. And it'll be open, it'll be public, everybody will be able to see what's going on. Right up to the point that you start selecting people, because that's the part you don't want publicized. Because if everybody knows who we spoke to, then the dominant society is going to do what the dominant society does. Now that you told them, oh, y'all are trying to buy some of your own now. Oh, okay, well, yeah, let's freeze them out, and okay, no phone calls for you. So we are going to have to be vocal right up until 9 steps out of 10. Right when we get to that 10th step, then we need to be dead quiet, and I'll make sure that happens. So I'm just letting you all know right now, if it goes forward like that, it'll require a lot of trust. But it would be me you all would be putting the trust in. If it's worth it to you, go forward. If it's not, go call what's his name? What is his name? Jay Morrison. Yeah, you can go trust him. Go ahead and do that. So I'll let my track record speak for itself, but I'm just letting you know, at a point here, I'm going to put out a call for that. If y'all are ready, let's do something. If you're not, if y'all still working on it after all these years, then just get ready for another Rick Chow incident and another Carmelo Anthony, and maybe it'll be you this time. And it's, well, the lawyers, the judge, they all bad. Okay, well, we had better things to do than invest. So we had better things to do. It's like, okay, well, hold this 35 years. We had better things to do. I didn't have it, Jason. Don't worry. You don't have to have it now. The system got you. So be ready and watchful, brother. Thank you for giving us a call. You all want to know what the game plan is. You want to know what I'm taking a look at. That's what I'm taking a look at. We're going to have 9 steps. I shouldn't even say 9 steps. I should say 5 steps. For the first 4 steps, that's going to unfortunately have to be more public and vocal than I would like. For the 5th step, it's going to be dead silence. It's going to be dead silence. It's going to be something that Ed Blum and the rest of them can't mess with. It's going to have to be dead silent. But please understand, we cannot vocalize that. We cannot publicize that. The dominant society damn sure wants to know what it is, because they want to find out how they can disrupt it, because they're like, I'll be damned, the niggas are finally getting serious. We don't have a civil rights generation of coons to be able to buy off. We don't have a civil rights generation of coons that we can buy off. So if we don't have the ability to buy them off, what the hell we gonna do? Let me go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom again. I got Jay over here on Zoom. We got Jay over here on Zoom. Okay, Jay, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I think that we shouldn't lose sight of what this is all about. And what this was about was trying to send a message that we don't have a right to defend ourselves if we're attacked by somebody white. And I think that we need to make it clear that.
Okay, brother, today we're discussing what we're going to do about it, man. We're not discussing, we did that conversation last night about identifying this, so you're retreading ground at this point. Today we talking about what we're going to do about it.
Okay, yeah, so kind of like the way Iran's dealing with it. I mean, they're showing how to stand up to a white bully, which is we continue to defend ourselves. We continue to make it clear that we will continue to defend ourselves even if we lose some soldiers. So I'll just make it quick. You can move on to the next person, but yeah, get our money right and make sure.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, definitely defending ourselves. Absolutely. That is your universal obligation, regardless of anything that transcends any human being. You are not obligated to observe a law that says that they have a right to harm you. Absolutely not. You are under no obligation to do that. The Supreme Court has made that precedent. The issue that we have is getting the society to honor that right. So I have what you just said is valid, and I have that in the one hand. However, in the other hand is the acknowledgement that you're in a society that will attempt to penalize you for doing that. So when we talk about solutions, what you're correct, you have problem number one, which is somebody trying to harm you. You have to deal with that no matter what occurs. Problem number two is if someone attempts to penalize you for doing your God-given right with problem number one. That's problem number two. What do we do about problem number two? Because if you do that enough, that's what discourages people from executing problem number one.
Yeah, I guess I was talking about problem number one because I'm really not sure what we can do about problem number two.
That's what I've been discussing, brother. Did you just drop in?
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, I listened to the whole thing. But what I'm saying is we still need to make it clear that no matter how many soldiers we lose, we are going to continue to defend ourselves, just like Iran is doing. What they're doing is working. And eventually they will wear down. You wear them down, and the next person that tries this, he's going to be discouraged from doing that. I don't care if you can put 1 million of us in jail. We're still, you try something like that. And that's what's been missing with the civil rights generation, because the Roland Martins are going to tell us, yeah, we should just kind of back down just because this guy got convicted. And that's the message that is trying to be sent. So that's just what I came here to say. And I just want to boost.
Once again, I hear what you're saying, and I'm not saying it's completely invalid because it is not. What you're saying is valid. However, it would be different if we had a limitless number of people. So remember, that strategy can ultimately end up backfiring because you can lose by attrition. For example, Carmelo Anthony was not a dumb kid. Everybody has acknowledged that. This is a smart, educated kid, and that's why they targeted him. This is why he was surrounded by a bunch of goons. You don't have a large number of those that you can stand to sacrifice. You see what I mean? So yeah. You have to have a idea mentality in place that takes that into account particularly. That right there. So what you're saying is not wrong. However, I do want you to understand that while you are correct, be aware that you don't want to make that the primary strategy, in my opinion, because I see how that's vulnerable to attrition. We're still only 14% of the population. They've already demonstrated mass incarceration. The only thing they have not done for the last 60 years is implement a South Africa apartheid type situation, which we can clearly see they're pivoting back to. We have to be aware of that, at which point now they would be ready to confront what you're talking about head on.
All right, I just wanted to put that out. Let me get off the line before I say something I shouldn't say. So let's
Thank you for giving us a call here, Dane. Yeah, folks, like I say, definitely, I'm not saying he's totally wrong about that, but I want to put a lot, you can accomplish a lot more with a ounce of prevention than you can with a pound of cure. Because it's like right now, once you're in the system, now they got you. I think that we do a whole lot better by orchestrating and organizing to make sure that you're not in the system to begin with. And yes, that comes down to preventing them from being able to infringe on you socioeconomically, preventing them from being able to infringe on you physically. If one of them does cross the line and decide to practice "I'm white and I say so," that you are obligated to defend yourself, your loved ones, your children. Absolutely, you're obligated to do that. The next step, however, is we're already there. And what they're trying to do is prove that that won't be a deterrent for them. So they're trying to show that that won't be a deterrent for them. We have to be aware of that. That's important. Let me go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom. I'm going to get Kendra, simply because Kendra is named Kendra. All right, so I'm going to show some Kendra privilege here. All right, Kendra, what's on your mind? Turn off your speakers, Kendra. Turn off your YouTube. Because Kendra is named Kendra. All right, so I'm going to show some Kendra privilege here. Okay, Kendra, you're slowing us down, baby. Turn off your speakers, Kendra.
Okay, let me turn my speaker. Okay.
This better be very important because they're stalling my program here. Okay, Kendra is not ready. Folks, turn off your YouTube speakers. I mean, it's not hard. It's not newfangled technology at this point. We've had YouTube and social media for 20 years. At this point, this is just basically technological negligence. Okay, Paul, we got you here on Zoom with your speakers on too. So if this clown show thinks they're going to stop white supremacy, y'all, they can't even turn their speakers off. All right, Paul, what's on your mind?
Long time listener to the broadcast, and I took a minute to write some things down. And one thing that you spoke on that resonates is that at some point you got to move in silence. At some point you got to be able to coordinate, have belief in the coordinator, and trust that they moving in the right direction, and believe that. And it sometimes seems we the people that lost the ability to do that, to say, hey, this is what we need to do. And by demonstrating, but by speaking out what exactly we're going to do, we can't act like you would say, speak on Ed Bloom and nuisance suits and people who are strategically lined up to counter and have the money, have the resources, have the time, have the soldiers, have the energy to combat that. And we can't lose sight of the message, even though the message isn't being spoken on. And to be honest, man, it takes somebody like you. Like, I don't know you, I ain't never seen you, but I've been listening to you for many years. And I'll take what you say on faith, man. And if I got to contribute, whatever, man. But I know that if you say you're going to do something, or we moving in a strategic fashion and it ain't exactly looking all rosy, or this may not seem this or this may not seem that, I got the faith to stay down and to say, okay, I understand, man, this may take that, or that may take this, or he got to move like this, or we got to move like that. And it can't be on display for the world to see because, man, I don't know if it's deflation or I don't even know what to say, man, but...
You didn't know who Ed Blum was till they started going to the Supreme Court against you. You didn't know who his plaintiffs were till they showed up at the Supreme Court against you. Think about that for just a few moments. You didn't know who any of them were till they filed the lawsuits and sitting up here working are going against you. And the Supreme Court was right there to catch the ball because that's all part of the program. And nobody, as you said, which we talked about before, nobody was fighting against it. They're not fighting against it now. I mean, when Biden was in office, there was nobody fighting against that. And you don't have them fighting. They never should have been able to make it out of the state level. They should have been stopped down there. They should have been buried in lawsuits and buried in emotions. They should have never been able to get away from the state level. You're at this right now because there wasn't something outside the government to stop them, because the government was waiting to do this the whole time. Democrat, so-called Democrat and Republican, they're all on the same team, which is why no matter who's in the White House or who is the, quote, majority, you get white supremacy. No matter what you do, you get white supremacy regardless. I'll let you have the last word.
That right there, as you ended that, I just wish more of the people understood that don't let the smiles, the superficial niceness, like, don't go for it. Understand fundamentally, like, man, they do not rock with us, man. Your place in whatever company, corporation. Okay, I understand the overlay for the underplay. You got to do what you got to do, but don't believe it, man, because fundamentally they do not rock with us, and they will get on code and look at you and smile in your face and say, we don't know what you're talking about. And the whole time, man, no. When it comes down, the bottom line is they are not your friend, man, unless demonstrated through action. But don't go for the nice smiling and being your friend and being an ally and blah, blah, blah. Because when it comes down to it,
very good point. You don't have any allies who ain't on the front line with you. You don't, if they want to talk about being an ally, I'm looking around the front line. Where you at? If I don't see you on the front line, you're not an ally. That's just it.
At all.
If you are not going to give up your white card, your Asian card, if you ain't on the front line ready to give up your card, you're not an ally. That's just all there is to it.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about, man. And appreciate you for taking my call. Long time listener, love the broadcast. Keep doing what you do, and whatever link you put up to whatever what's needed to be, man. I'm TTG, man. I'm telling you. So I believe in what you're gonna do and what you're gonna say. I rock with it. What's understood don't need to be explained. So, man, I'm with it, man. So just let me know.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. We appreciate that. Yeah, man, don't tell me nothing about no allies who ain't on the front line. Don't tell me about anybody who's whispering. Don't tell me anything. If they not on the front line ready to give up their card, they're not an ally. Don't you be silly. Don't you be silly. Where my lawyers at? Where my law students at? We're trying to organize something over here for folks who are for the next judicial class, since the old niggas and the old media and the coons in professional sports and entertainment and all the rest of the professional ass kissers, since they're all willing to take their damn chances because they're telling themselves, well, don't worry, the white corporation gonna take care of me. And you know what? You just might be right. Ain't that right, Stephon Diggs? They might just take care of you until the day that they don't. Right up until the day they don't take care of you anymore. And furthermore, even if they did, that doesn't do a damn thing for the rest of us. So you and me and us and we got to look out for ourselves, even if nobody else is. We're going to try Kendra one more time. We'll see if we can try Kendra one more time. If she's still having issues, man, we're going to have to just let you go if you still are. Maybe you can call us back some other time. Okay, Kendra, what's on your mind?
Okay, so I've been listening to what you've been talking about, and I'm here in Dallas. I live in Dallas County. I don't live in Collin County. And I knew as soon as they went there, of course, that was the verdict they would come. So my suggestion is we do here in Dallas, they have a couple of judges here in Dallas County that have classes on how to get on a grand jury and how to be picked to be on a jury. I think that when you get to trial, it is important for us to stop the mindset of us trying to get out of jury duty and to try to get on jury duty.
Well, I think that's a wonderful idea. I think that's a wonderful ideal. Are you aware of what happened during this case?
Yes, yes, I am aware.
Okay, so you are aware that Judge Roach, there were black folk who went for jury duty, and him and the prosecutors summarily removed all of them.
Yes, but it was 2 black men who removed themselves too.
Okay, but what about the last 3 black women?
Right, and that's why we have to have better attorneys, because that could have been fault. You can't arbitrarily. Wait.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
For those of you who are unfamiliar with how trials work, remember the prosecution and the defense are allowed a certain, supposed to be set number of jurors that they can strike. Usually there's a few you can strike for just any reason. You just don't like their haircut. And then the rest of them you have to strike with cause. And it's supposed to be a limited number. I'm not saying that once again, I'm not saying what you're saying is invalid. However, what I am saying is that this case invalidated it. I will say that. because the judge and the prosecutor got together and ignored everything you're talking about. They circumvented that and said, yeah, you're on the jury. We just say you're not. So what right there, that was neutralized before you got there. So I'm not saying what you're saying is invalid. I am saying that that's subject to being neutralized. Now, the other part about having lawyers, you all at this point are going to be able to say a little bit more about that than I am, because you all are just going to have to understand I'm a little bit closer to this than you all are. So there's certain things I'm not able to say just yet. Although now that the verdict has been given and the sentence has been given, there's a little bit more that I can say. No, I was not satisfied with the performance of this attorney at all. I was not able to say this before yesterday. I'm able to say it now. I was not satisfied with this attorney's performance for a number of reasons. I do not think that the gag order should have happened. I certainly don't think that the no cameras should have happened. I don't think that that should have occurred. And absolutely it should have been shut down when they kick off the last three black jury candidates. That should have been right there. Okay, there's not going to be anything else done after this. This trial stops right here. This stops right here, right now. We're not getting to opening arguments. This stops right here. That did not occur. And I'll just say this, and then I'll let you finish your thought. These are attorneys who live in Frisco. So you start getting the impression a person could be forgiven for getting the impression that they're going to do something, but they're not going to do too much. So they're going to do enough to say they showed up, but they're not going to do too much. Also, I knew that this was going to be, first of all, for those of you who didn't know, the judge, originally they said this thing was going to take 2 weeks. For those of you who don't remember. Originally they said it was going to be 2 weeks. And I was like, 2 weeks? For a trial of this magnitude, with this notoriety, 2 weeks? Since when does that happen? We take a look up and see, oh no, it's not even going to be 2 weeks, it's going to be 4 days. Once again, how do you have a competent attorney and a case that should be taking a month, we're told is going to be 2 weeks, and then when you actually get in court, okay, turn off the camera so we can have this lynching, and now it's gone from 2 weeks to 4 days? How in the hell is that physically possible? Other than a system of white supremacy. How in the hell is that physically possible? So, yeah, I got all kinds of issues with that performance there. Somebody would need to explain a number of different things to me. Because that just, as far as I'm concerned, that's unjustifiable. Unjustifiable. I want to say a lot more. Within the next week or two, I'll probably be able to do that. At this point, I think that's about as much as I can say right now.
Yeah, I agree. And me being here in Dallas, I've never heard of this guy, Mike Howard. I've never heard of him. I never heard him do any type of high profile criminal case. Toby Shook was used to be a prosecutor. So now all of a sudden now he is, a criminal defense attorney. He doesn't really have a lot of experience to me representing black youth. So I don't even know. I think a lot of that trial, the information that the families were getting, I think they got a lot of bad recommendations, information, and they were railroaded. So that boy was set up for failure as soon as he entered that courtroom, and they allowed those jurors to sit for that trial. So I think it starts with jury selection. I think it starts with our attorneys, and I think it starts with us educating our children. Number one, if we're going to move into communities like this, we can't be so close to these people who don't even like us. The people that he's associating with, he can't find one person to defend him in a courtroom, but you're associating with these types of people. So that's my take on it from here in Dallas. And we're still fighting. I just see that they just filed the appeal 40 minutes ago. So that's going forward. But we need to see what happens next.
We're filing the appeal after he's been convicted and everything. So it's just, I I made statements about that last night. If you want to do something, you can send me an email, because for those of you who are in Dallas or whatever, if there's something that you want to do, there is something in particular you can do that I'd be interested in seeing if you can investigate. So if you can send me an email, I'd like to touch bases with you to see if there's something else we can do, because there's a couple of things in particular I'd like to take a look at.
Okay, we'll do.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. Yeah, my only thing about it, folks, I would start with the lawyer part of it first, because if they know that you actually have protection, in a lot of cases, you won't even get to trial. When they know that you got a people and y'all are already ready to rock in the judicial system, in a lot of cases, that'll stop them from even trying anything with you. They'll just be like, oh, hell, that's one of them. They ready. So it'd be that kind of situation. So I would actually start with lawyers first and then participate in the jury, because if you got the right lawyers out there, if your people are known for that, you won't even get that far. Ask Jeffrey Epstein. All right, let me go ahead and get over here to Morpheus. What's on your mind, brother?
Hey, how you doing, Jason? I agree with everything everyone's saying. I also think we should teach our kids preventive measures, because it makes no sense that they did not release that video. I know for a fact that video counteracts what they're doing, and I'm in my mind. I'm like, because this stuff you see the chat, the builder stuff. If you're around a situation like that, and you got to teach your kids this. Get them to take your phone out and start recording.
Well, I think I can say a little bit more now. I reference this. Jason, you're judging your words carefully, because there's more going on than you all are aware of, so I don't have to sit up here and justify myself to folks who don't even know. So let me phrase this properly. Mm-hmm. There are some buck dancing elements in that school district. And there's a bit of a buck dancing cultural element in that school district. And I'm not talking about the school employees. I'm not talking about them.
Are you talking about the students?
I'm not talking about the school employees. I'm not talking about them. So, okay, everybody here everything's not a tether situation. Everything's not that. However, what I will say is that there is a particular buck dancing element, which is why you saw some of the optics you did and 1090 snakes. There's a certain element that is prevalent in that area. So there's a reason why in some of these cases things came down like that. So I'm not talking about the certain element on campus, and I'm not talking about the school employees. I'm not talking about them. So there's an off code situation going on there. There's an off code situation going on there, bro.
I see. No, I definitely understand, but one of my main points was, because I from what I've seen, you correct me if I'm wrong. I feel that the system of white supremacy tries to use the what's that word I'm looking for? Deniability. Like they gotta make it seem like it's possible deniability. That's the word I'm looking for. Excuse me. And when you're live streaming stuff, I'll give you a perfect example. Even remember that guy? He was running in a neighborhood and he got killed.
There's Ahmaud Arbery.
Right. If that hillbilly didn't release the tape, those people wouldn't have gotten arrested. And like every time I see that we get justice, just somehow the tape, it got live streamed, somebody saves it somewhere, and it's hard for them to railroad us. So we have
well, as far as the video coming out, like I say, that their response about that was basically it's the school and it's minors, and that was their reason for that. And so, I mean, take a look at who your state attorney general is. So basically, the long story short is they just refused to release it, and by the time you saw what happened with the damn trial, so it was all fixed, it's all rigged. So they're going to just stall you until the trial is over, And then after that, it doesn't matter what they do with it. Because they know eventually they're going to have to release it. They know that. They're going to stall as long as they can till they've killed a few more people. They're going to try to stall as long as they can. And then hopefully something else overtakes it. But I want you all to know, it is not that people did not put in a request for it. That did happen. They refused to release it on the grounds that, it's involving minors. So we don't want to do that. So, and then they were saying that they ran it by the Attorney General. So that's why I was telling you all that this went all the way to the top. So who are you going to speak to when that's who you have to go through? Well, we'll file in federal court. Okay, by the time you get there, we'll already have him lynched and everything by the time you do that. So that's the game that they're playing without lawyers to put a stop to it. But then again, it would be difficult for them to say, okay, we want to get a hold of the videotape so we can release it publicly. We want to do that. And that's what I'm saying. So they made a very good effort to refuse that. What you said is the only thing that would have circumvented that, which is if individual students had taken video of it, well, that would have circumvented it. However, your students have to be on code too.
Well,
and if folks are not being raised to be on code, well, then you end up with a district that has a big off-code problem. And then they kind of just go whichever way they think that the folks in the house want them to go, and it ends up being like that. So what you're saying is right. I'm just explaining to you why it didn't happen.
Well,
because I know that there were other videos as well. By the way, we know there were other videos. It wasn't just the cameras from the school or whatever. There were other videos as well. Those were not released by people who have it. Folks who have it did not put it out. Now, they're going to tell you the police asked for this, that, and the other. They can't prevent you from doing it. So there are other folks who had it. They just didn't release it. I need you all to know that.
Yeah, I was saying if Anthony just pulled out his phone. I know it's in the heat of the moment.
Right.
But like, you got to do it. You got to think of this case. You got to tell your kids, even if you're in the heat of the moment, get that phone out quick. You can't rely on people around you. You know what I'm saying? This case kind of proves that. But back to your point about the lawyers, we got to cultivate our lawyers. We have HBCUs, people that are B1, that are pro-Black. We need to get in these places, making sure that they have the right mindset, that when they graduate, they get papered up so they don't go into Morgan and places like that, where they're going to make sure that they coon out, that they don't take cases like this. Because we only had one Johnny Cochran, like you said, when we haven't seen anything else besides that, And, when I looked into this, from what I understand, and you correct me, at one point in time, you didn't have to pass the bar to be a lawyer. But then a lot of Black people became lawyers and helping us out. And then all of a sudden the bar had to show up. Is that correct, or am I misunderstanding that?
I mean, in certain areas you didn't have to. The bar became a thing once Black attorneys started being able to practice law. Oh, then that's when the bar, quote, the bar became a thing. Because the bar was there, but it wasn't mandatory. It became mandatory in most places once Black attorneys started being able to practice law. Then, because I heard Morris D say that himself when he came to Shreveport. That when he became an attorney, he didn't have to pass the bar. And he said, as soon as it made it legal for Black attorneys, all of a sudden, here comes the bar.
Exactly. So, like I said, I agree with the lawyer thing, but like we have to take accountable, and we got to catch them at the HBCU, because that's one of our institutions. We got to cultivate them, make sure they have the right mindset, and then when they graduate, we got to make sure to get papered up. And you know what I'm saying? Because hey, this stuff is expensive. You know what I mean?
Well, that's my whole point about it. I'm being very, very, grounded and realistic about that. I'm being very, very grounded and realistic about that. And that needs to be the tack that we take on that. So that's why we're here. Thank you very much. Give us a call tonight. Still looking for my attorneys out there, by the way, y'all. Then again, maybe that's the reason that we're here, because we ain't damn well got any. So, and I don't want folks just talking about the events that have occurred. We're here tonight to talk about how we're going to get attorneys on deck today, to talk about how we're going to get attorneys on deck, about how we're going to build a legal class, folks. I want us to be here today to discuss how we're going to start a legal class, because this is the real issue, is our complete lack of legal representation at any point. You can talk about Jewish people all you want to. They took that legal situation seriously, and there's a bunch of problems that they don't have today as a result. Trying to dodge that and circumvent that hasn't done us any good. We were at the zenith of our power when we had that, from Thurgood Marshall to Johnny Cochran. Once you start embracing coon culture and telling yourself that the best you need to do as a single mom is raise some basketball players to make up for your lack of sexual discipline and nothing else matters, okay, next thing you know, this is what the hell you end up with. You don't have anybody filling the ranks of the legal class to make sure this kind of mess doesn't happen in the first place. Okay, let me do something here right quick. Everybody who is on Zoom right now, if you are not an attorney or if you are not a law student, hang up on Zoom. I'm going to give you a few moments here to hear this. Then I'm going to be too polite when I start removing people. The purpose of today's program is not to have a second edition of what we discussed last night. I already did that. Today's program is talking about establishing a legal class here, so let me say this directly. If you are on Zoom and you are not an attorney or you are not a law student, hang up. Not here to get general ideas, not here to get general suggestions. I thought I made that clear from the beginning. Apparently I didn't, so let me say this a little more directly. Today, I'm really holding the line open for my folks who are in the legal field as attorneys or law students. No paralegals, no fringe people, no none of that. If you don't have a law license or if you are not in school to get your law license, today is not your day. Last night was your day, last weekend, maybe this weekend. Not right now. So if you're still on the line, that's the first thing I'm going to ask you. If you say, well, not exactly. And by the way, I might send you to go walk around the corner to go get your license so I can see it, because I don't want the damn clown show happening. Oh, Jason is being rough about you. Damn right I am. It's survival. This is not the damn time for Barnum and Bailey. Let's see if we can get over here on Zoom. I got Rhonda on Zoom. Rhonda been sitting there for a minute, so I'm going to assume that she is ready. Rhonda, make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on. I'll give you 3 more seconds here. Rhonda must have gotten up to go get her law license, I suppose. Rhonda, you are on. I'll give you 2 more seconds here, Rhonda. Then we have to move on. Okay, Rhonda, you were here the whole time. I can give you 1 more second. Then we have to move on. Okay, Rhonda is apparently filming for her OnlyFans, so we're going to go ahead and leave her alone here since clearly she is occupied. So apparently she's doing that in between there. All right, I've got, let me just say D. Let me just say that because I don't know if you want me saying your name or not, but I recognize you from my email. So I don't know if you want me to say that or not. No, certainly not your whole name, but you want me to say D or your first name?
D is fine.
Okay.
And it's nice to talk to you. I am a criminal trial lawyer here in the trenches in Virginia. I've been listening to your program. I agree with most of what you're saying. But you called for the lawyers, so.
Okay, what's the part that you don't agree with?
The blanket statement that, and I don't want to misquote you, but I think I've heard it now a number of times that we essentially don't have Black lawyers out there who are really doing it, who are really on code. We are out here. We are few and far between.
Okay, there's the issue. Because if I can't get to you, you're not there.
I understand.
Or, for example, I'm in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. If the only competent criminal defense attorney is in Virginia, then he might as well be on Mars. Do you see what I mean? It's not a knock or a shade or a disqualification or whatnot. What I'm saying is that as a rule, we ain't got it. So if it's just one dude way out there and there's only a certain number of people that you can service to begin with. So right. If you're in Virginia, you probably got your hands full to begin with. So do you see what the issue would be there?
I see the issue, but Notice when we're talking about the people we need, the Thurgoods, the Johnny Cochrans. Well, back then, people were only saying one name as well. I mean, there were others, Alton Maddox and others, but it's always just a few of us. I want to say this to the dedicated people on the line. When you find yourself in a position like the Anthony family, don't do what I've seen a lot of people do over my 25 years practicing law and say, and I'm not saying that they said this, I don't know the Anthony family, but I've encountered Black people who say, we want somebody from the town, we want somebody that was a former prosecutor, we want a Jewish lawyer. I mean, I've heard all kinds of crazy stuff. And a lot of times these people's relatives are writing me from prison trying to handle a habeas corpus or an appeal. Also, jury service is enormously important. Far too many of us, unfortunately, are disqualified, at least in Virginia, for a variety of reasons. But if at all you can take time out of your life to serve on a jury, particularly in a criminal matter, I would tell you it's more important than voting in a national election. So I just want to leave you with that, and I can answer any questions you may have or.
Okay, well, I mean, I definitely agree about jury duty. That's very important. Although, like I just discussed with the previous caller, Kendra, you saw what happened in this case. So while that is not as common, I will certainly acknowledge that this was certainly not as common to be this egregious and blatant. Take a look at what happened there.
Right. Well, here's the issue there. From the reporting that I got, unfortunately, there were no cameras in the courtroom. The Black jurors who showed up, unfortunately, were not sophisticated enough, according to the reporting, to not say things to make themselves easy targets for the prosecutors to get around what are called Batson strike or Batson challenges. So if the reporting is correct, once we get in the room, there is a way to be honest but not say things to make yourself a target for a strike for cause, which in Virginia are unlimited. Peremptory strikes for anything other than race, religion, creed, or whatever, those are, enumerated by the court. But my understanding based on, some of the reporting out there, the mass media reporting, was that unfortunately the eligible Black jurors in the panel said things. So I guess as this appeal is working its way through.
Well, the reports that I was reporting on here last weekend, with the last three in particular, they got summarily removed simply because they were educators.
Right.
Now, what in the world is that violating?
Well, it's not violating anything.
Right, and the prosecutor and the judge got together and swept them. So.
Right, and I, without being there, I blame some of that on the defense lawyer, but that is a non-racial basis. What they're saying is, I think it was a further point to that. They're educators and they could not penalize, a student as the prosecutors. They were looking for people who stood indifferent in the cause. And if it's an educator, you're going to have problems finding somebody guilty, or if they're found guilty, imposing a punishment. Then that sort of opens the door to that.
Right, but by that logic, then anybody who's been to high school, well, you would have difficulty convicting somebody who's in high school. Anybody who's a parent, you would have a difficulty convicting a minor. So that would be my response, my argument to that. We're going to kick off educators. Well, anybody who's got a sports background, you'll be biased in favor of the Metcalfs because they played football.
And you are not wrong. I am just articulating that the prosecutor was sort of crafty in stating that as the non-racial basis for doing it. And it was on a defense lawyer to then make the appropriate arguments to the court as to why that was not a basis to strike them.
Why do you suspect that I, as a lay person with no law background, immediately seized on that and their attorney didn't? What would you suspect was the reason?
Well, I don't want to speak ill of their attorney. I don't know the man, but you're a sharp guy. You seized on it because you're a smart guy. You're thinking about this the right way. You're on code, and you know the importance of a Black juror, at least one Black juror, because remember, juries have to be unanimous. So all you need is one. I gather that's the reason. I can't speak to why this lawyer didn't do that. I found other things more egregious. For instance, putting on a self-defense case where the the jurors have to look at it through the eyes of the person asserting the defense, and then you don't put the young man on the stand to put the jurors in his shoes. That's just.
I think that if you're going to allow a non-black jury, because it technically wasn't all white, but if you're going to allow a non-black jury, then I think you're setting yourself up for a situation where you don't do that. Now, whether or not that was intentional or not, once again, you and I both know, and we don't know if we want to say anything like that yet, but wow, that sure does seem suspicious. That seems very odd that if a person could be forgiven for saying, wow, you're not doing a whole lot to diffuse obviously what the prosecution and the judge were doing. You're not doing a whole lot to diffuse that, bro. And now let me ask you what you think about this part right here. Now, originally, first of all, this is a murder case. It was highly televised. I've never seen a case like this that walking in the courtroom, the judge is talking about it's going to be 2 weeks. And then they get in there and it's actually done in like 4 days. I've never seen anything like that before. Have you?
Yes, it happens quite a bit. A lot of times the government will overcompensate. So I've had 2 or 3 murder cases in the last 18 months where they're coming and telling court we need 2 weeks. And we do it in about 4 days or a week.
But a case like this, of this high profile, I mean, I don't think high profile cases like get zipped through like that.
Let me be careful. Not that this was extremely high profile. So I've had some high profile cases, but nothing that was national news. So if that's the point, then no. However, there was a big high profile case involving an au pair out of Virginia that was national news.
Right.
And I believe that the prosecutors in that case told the court it was going to be a 6-week trial, and they got that thing done in about 2 weeks. So, it happens.
Right, but to have a case that should take months or weeks, and they got it done in less than 7 days, it's like, okay, where we do this at? How is this even? As a defense attorney, I don't think I would allow that. How did you do your job and it was over in 72 hours?
Well, I agree with you. I would have definitely put the brakes on that. We'd have been in there mixing it up a little bit more than what happened. So
about the removal of the black jurors, though, so you have a jury that's got no black people on it.
Jesus,
what would have been your response when that occurred?
Well, I would have made the appropriate Batson challenge, right up there at the sidebar and argued like hell that there was a pretextual reason. And, the trial judges have a lot of power at the trial court. I mean, they get to decide what evidence comes in, who to seat, So all a strong defense lawyer could do is make the appropriate arguments. Once that jury is seated, you preserve that argument. Hopefully you don't have to appeal. But the next best thing is, you got to put on a hell of a self-defense case, which I don't believe was done here.
Okay. In your opinion, what would that have consisted of?
A hell of a self-defense case?
Yes.
Yes, you have to put the young man on the stand. They've had a long time to prepare for this. Here's a young man that cannot be impeached. He was a baby when this happened, 17 years old, no criminal record. So there's nothing to impeach him on. And you put that kid on the stand, you get him ready. They had months to get him ready. And it has to come out of his pores. He's got to tell those people, these guys surrounded me. They were bigger than me. They were towering over me, whatever was going on. I thought they were going to kill me, whatever the truth is. But that didn't come out. So that gave them the ability. I mean, the defense, based on the reporting, put on a very weak case. The witnesses, I think the reporting was one of the defense lawyers had just talked to the witness that day. And then the prosecutor got up and cross-examined him, and the witness turned out to be more favorable for the prosecution. So, you didn't put on any strong witnesses to help the jury understand this whole self-defense aspect. And then you don't put your client on there so that they can get in his shoes. I mean,
so basically you're saying ineffective counsel.
I think so.
I mean, as a legal professional, I don't want to put words in your mouth because you actually have a law license and I don't.
Right.
But
it is very strange to have a self-defense case and to have an unassailable accused person, and you do not put that person on the stand, especially the way the law is written, which is the jury has to view this from the accused standpoint, right? So you have to put them on there, testify under oath, and let those jurors understand what he perceived and why it was reasonable for him to do what he did. That was what was missing in this case, besides the fact that there were no black jurors.
do you think that would be if they do? Because I know they said they're filing for appeal, which anybody could predict in that regard. In my opinion, I would think if it were me, that would be the tack I'd want to take, is ineffective counsel, because to allow those things through, that to me, that's the only real grounds for appeal based on what I've heard.
Well, you know more than I do. Now, the Batson issue may very well be an issue. As you may have heard, the Supreme Court, believe it or not, actually just altered a execution based on the Batson issue. A little bit different set of facts. So they need to argue that if they have it. Hopefully they preserve that issue. But yeah, there may be ineffective assistance of counsel. The problem with that, though, is the legal standard is so high. It's this case Strickland v. Washington. And what it basically says is that, in part, that the strategy comes down to the lawyer. The lawyer gets to make the strategic call. The tension here is that the accused has the absolute right to testify. It's not the lawyer's call or not. And so where the rubber's going to meet the road is, I'm wondering, did the kid not want to testify? If I was his lawyer, I would have been telling him from day one, look, young man, this is a self-defense case. I'm going to get you ready to testify. You have to testify. If you don't testify, bring your toothbrush with you, because you're going through that side door. You're not going through the door you came in. That's what I tell my clients. And I have clients out here who've shot people multiple times, and they're walking around on the street right now. Self-defense cases. They got up on the stand. But so to answer your question, that may be one mode of attack. It's just that case law out there. It's a heavy burden to bear. But there's 35 years, he might as well, he's going to need to do any and everything to get out of there.
What do we need to do, in your opinion, to have more competent black lawyers? Because right now, brother, I that's, in my opinion, that's a rare thing. And I know that excellence is rare in any field. I get that, whether it's doctors, engineers, or whatever. But in this area in particular, we have issues that I will say that Jewish people don't have. And I don't blame you either for taking umbrage about that. Well, folks, the stereotype, I'm going to go get a Jewish lawyer because I've had some bad Jewish lawyers myself, as a matter of fact. So just because they're Jewish, I promise you that's not a magic panacea. It isn't. Right. However, what we need to do to have more competent black lawyers at this stage?
You said something very poignant earlier on. I heard you say that basically you don't begrudge lawyers who come out of school with a lot of debt and then they go work at a big law firm. And I think your advice was that they go learn how to practice law and then go do what they need to do. That's the path I took. So I'm trying to answer. So
no, take your time. Take your time.
The bottom line is this. There's a subset of black lawyers who are on code. Of course, we have the problems with everything you've outlined. The National Bar Association, I hope I don't offend anybody on this call, but I think it's a complete waste of time, because that's just an extended buffoon fraternity gathering. I stopped going back when I was a junior associate. So what we need to do, and we might need to talk offline about this, but we need to find that critical mass, and we're out there. The internet makes the world smaller, and young lawyers need to be encouraged right now, because we don't have the infrastructure. Go to the big firms, steal the information, learn the business of law. There's the practice of law, and then there's the business of law. You have to learn both, and they don't teach it in law school. I went to one of the best law schools in the country. All right, it wasn't HBCU law schools, one of the big T11 law schools. So I went to one of those. They don't teach you how to practice law there either. Law is an apprentice business.
Yes.
So go to the big law firms, go to the good DA offices, the Public Defender Service in DC, the Bronx Defender, or wherever. Go to the best places you can go to, learn how to practice law, steal the information, and then once you get about 5 or 6 years under your belt, then you go out and you help. You do what you can do for the people. So in my lane, I'm a criminal trial lawyer. When the black moms, grandmoms, dads, uncles call me telling me Junior didn't shot somebody or sold some drugs or has a big embezzlement case, it is my practice to bend over backwards as much as I can to help those people. I'm not saying I'm doing charity. I'm not in this for love. But when Black American people come to me, especially single moms, unfortunately, it is my practice to get them through this legal system. It's not the criminal justice system, it's the criminal legal system. And so that's my practice. But I'm not giving you the best answer, but because this is a multifaceted problem. But I think the answer now is, and I have thoughts about the giving money to HBCUs. We might need to talk about that offline.
I wouldn't give it to them. I would not give it to them. No.
Okay.
Maybe some of the students,
yes.
Assuming, of course, you can have a conversation with them to see where their head's at. Maybe there's some potential there. But as far as give it to the school, not no, but hell, heaven, never no.
Good. All right. Well, then it's just a matter of finding the like-minded Black American lawyers out there, training them up, steal the information because they have the infrastructure. They, all capital T, capital H, capital E, capital Y, have the infrastructure right now. Learn whatever it is. If you're going to be a civil lawyer, learn that. Get that. You got to do the fundamentals. You got to get that. And then you take that back and you help your community. That's it at the 20,000 foot level. I have more granular stuff that I can say.
Right. And just to let everybody know here, what he's saying, I usually don't flesh these out completely because, as you know, this is a very expansive subject. A lot of people have the idea, you go to school, you get your law degree, you put up your shingle, and then you're the Perry Mason or whatever from a John Grisham novel. There are some folk who do it. That's not going to end well. If you're going to be an excellent attorney, you think about A$AP Rocky's attorney, Joe Tacopino. He studied under Johnny Cochran. So, I mean, he made a big point of, I studied and apprenticed under Johnny Cochran. Johnny Cochran is my mentor. I got everything I got from him, and you can see how good he is. So it speaks for itself. So what he's telling you all is that just going to school is not enough and practicing is not enough. You really need to study under a good attorney. That's how you get in as a great attorney, is studying. So when you talk about being an apprentice, that's the part he's talking about. So I'm not naive about it. I'm just saying, let me deal with the part I think I can. And maybe from there, it's a start. But what he's saying is absolutely correct. I'm not unaware of it. It's just, that's not something I can do. Maybe we can do the first part because right now I don't see a bunch of that going on. That's basically where I was going at with that. So, I mean, I certainly thank you very much for your time, brother. I'll get in touch with you.
Yes, sir.
I'll be in touch with you. Thank you.
Nice talking to you. Take care.
Yeah, like I say, I mean, even for those who are in law school, I understand that's the first step because we can talk about Johnny. We can talk about Johnny and F. Lee Bailey and, Mazzaro and all the greats that you name. They studied under other people. They apprenticed under other people. They studied under other senior lawyers. Even if they're part of a large law firm, they studied under whoever the senior people were there. So if you watch a show like Suits or whatever, I don't want to compare it to TV because TV is just very fantasized. It really is. I mean, you got murder cases that get overturned in an hour, it's not fiction. That's science fiction. But I'm aware. So I want everybody here to understand, even if you get them through law school, please understand that's a down payment. I don't want anyone to be under any illusions. That's just a down payment. Holla back in 5 or 7 years when they've studied under somebody, that they've done work under somebody and they've, handled some of his minor cases with his oversight. And then eventually they're going to start taking on some of their own with his oversight because they represent his firm. and then eventually see where it goes from there. So this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So before I go any further, what he said, yeah, I don't usually go that far into detail with it, but yeah, you need, when I told you all, this is a long-term thing, think 5 to 10 years. Even if we found a kid in graduate school today, it'll still be 5 or 7 years before they've studied enough under somebody senior enough that they know the ins and outs. And by the way, and that's just in their market, in their city, in their region, where they would be licensed to practice law. So that would be just there. So they might be the best attorney in Dallas. However, if you're facing a charge in Jacksonville, I'm not so sure. Now, of course, there's, without me getting into too much detail, there's such a thing called domesticating a case. You'd have to find out if your attorney really wants to do something like that, because there's such a thing as domesticating a case. So it can happen, but once again, if they're in a major market, they've studied for that market, if you're a good attorney, your phone's going to ring off the hook, you know? So that's why you got to have more than just one option. But yes, I usually don't go into that kind of detail, because usually it starts throwing people. It's like, whoa, you're throwing a lot of information at me. And, oh, I didn't know it was like that. And I don't want to just overwhelm people. But what he just said right there, yeah, even when you get them started, just understand that's a down payment. Everything I've been discussing with you all today, that's the down payment. We haven't even gotten to paying down the principal. So think of it in those terms. Yeah, it would have been nice if all this had been taken care of decades ago, you know, when you cleared that lane with Thurgood Marshall and friends. It would have been nice if you capitalized on that, you know, just kind of keep that going. Starting from zero is the deadliest damn place you can be. Starting from zero, because you're putting yourself at other people's mercy. You don't know anything about the law. You are trusting what the attorney is saying, because you're like, hey, ain't he been to court before? And meanwhile, he's over here, damn me, 5 guys, ain't thought about your damn case. And let me clarify one more thing. Yeah, when I bring up I said this before, but let me say this again. In Jewish society, they made sure that they are not unrepresented, but they didn't just stop with the lawyers. They got lawyers, they got judges, federal judges, politicians. So they've got representation throughout the system. Even if you have a lackluster lawyer, you've got judges and politicians who will not allow their rights to be violated. So you see, they've got multiple layers of redundancy. This case with Carmelo Anthony, there wasn't even one case of redundancy. There wasn't one case of protection, much less redundancy. He got shuffled through an all-white court system with nobody to intercede on his behalf. They cleared out anybody like him. For Jewish people, because they took the lessons of World War II, that would be more difficult. I'm not saying you get your Jewish attorney and everything's magic wand. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying for them, not for you. Not for you if you get a Jewish attorney, but for them, it's part of an overall mosaic. For them, not for you. Hiring them is not going to give you the mosaic. It's not like you rent him for being in a fraternity. That card works for him. That card don't work for, he can't give you his card. Okay, we got Ronald here on Zoom. Ronald, are you a lawyer?
No, Roland, no, I'm not.
Are you a law student?
I got a background in criminal justice.
Okay, background, I don't know what that means. Background in criminal justice, what does that mean?
Meaning that I have a master's in investigation from University of New Haven.
Masters of investigation. I literally don't know what that means, sir. Are you practicing law or on your way to practicing law?
That means that's going to be my next stop after this.
Okay, that's going to be your next step after that. Okay. Is that what you called me for?
No, I called in because I wanted to chime in on specifically on the topic that you have in regards to Carmelo Anthony.
Your signal's breaking up on you here, but thank you very much. Give us a call tonight. For my lawyers or my law students, let me know exactly what y'all can holler at me here for. Let me see if I can get now, just to make sure we don't have any issues there. I don't actually want to say your name because I see your profile picture, so I can pretty much assume your profession. Do me a favor and make sure you turn your camera on for me. And that's all I really need you to do. And we'll just keep it at, can we just say E?
E is cool.
Okay, we'll just say E. E, are you an attorney?
Yes, I am. I'm a second-year intellectual property attorney.
All right. Well, we need some of that too. By the way, we could have used that a couple of decades ago with Famous Amos and any number of other folks. So that would have been nice.
Exactly, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. I don't know if this has necessarily been said before because I'm just now chiming in, but we don't just need criminal justice attorneys. We need civil attorneys. We need people in the intellectual property facet of law. One of the reasons why is because anyone who knows a little bit about history knows that there has been a significant amount of generational wealth that should have and could have been in our communities.
Dispossession.
Exactly. We create things and it gets taken, right? We invent things and it gets taken. Imagine all that money that should have been in our communities if it wasn't taken. And that's why I practice intellectual property law. I would also say that, like I said, I'm just a second-year attorney. And excuse me, because this is my first time up here. Second-year attorney, I don't litigate. I do transactional work. But in addition to that, what I've seen is that even if you don't want to be an attorney, you can still work on the legal side. We need people who are reviewing trademark applications, right, at the USPTO. So we have people inside who we can create relationships with, and we can make sure that our applications are pushed to the front, because right now it's about a 6 to 8 month waiting process. We need people inside at copyright.gov who are reviewing copyright applications, okay? You don't have to be an attorney to do those things, but you will be working with lawyers. So there are ways you can clerk, right? In or outside of law school, there are ways that you can support us without having that law degree or without having that bar number. So that's really what I wanted to come up with.
Okay, and how would you be qualified to do that? Because that's being a government employee.
That is being a government employee. Typically, you need obviously a bachelor's degree, but you don't need a law degree in order to do one of those two things. There's a training aspect of it, obviously, and even I, at a certain period of time, was applying to be a trademark application supervisor, but it does take time. During this particular administration, it's very difficult because they've made significant cuts.
Yeah, I was going to say that is they're really targeting people during this administration, so there's some significant headwinds.
Absolutely, and it's been hard for me to convince prospective clients that they need to trademark their Black-owned businesses when they ask me, well, how long does it take for me to receive approval of that application? And I got to say, hey, man, it could take up to 8 months. But if you don't do it, I mean, you miss every shot that you don't take.
That's very, very true. And yes, we need attorneys at every level. We really
every
do.
Single level.
Being completely naked out here and whatnot, because we talk about, your economics, but these are things that give you control of those things: copyrights, trademarks, being able to protect
trade secrets.
Yes, everything. Trade secrets. Now that's a very good one there, because trade secrets have a value separate and apart from patents. So Absolutely. A lot of folk don't understand that. But yes, I'm very glad you mentioned that. Because, for example, whether it's Coca-Cola or the formula for Coca-Cola or the recipe for KFC, those are trade secrets, not patented, and yet they are protected because of that. So very, very good point. And there's a number of other things that can apply to also. So yes, we need competent representation at all these levels.
Across the board.
And then again, we need competent representation because we might want to go gangster something. I'm just saying, you never know when somebody else's thing is done lapsed. Oh, let me hold that right quick, and I can give this back to you here for a couple billion. So you never know that might need to come up.
And if you want to sell your company, well, the person who wants to purchase it, they need to know what they're purchasing. If they can't go on the USPTO and see that you have an active trademark, they might just create their own, and then you're SOL. So
right, because your assets have to be documented. Careful. You know, your assets can't just be between your ears. They have to actually be documented. And that's a very, very significant part of it. If you're dealing with another business, they don't want to hear your theories. They want to see what you own. And you don't own an idea. You own a trademark. You own a patent. You don't own an idea. So very, very correct about that. Thank you very much for giving us a call, brother. Send me an email.
Will do. Thank you for your time.
At theblackauthority@yahoo.com.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving us a call today. Yeah, very, very important right there. Very, very important, especially those you starting. That's okay. I'm a 2-year attorney. You'll be a 10-year attorney. Let me go ahead and get that. And yes, I said that. I sure did. You never know. After all, the trademark for New Edition, Ralph Tresvant and Johnny Gill. Oh, I'm sorry. See, while Bobby Brown was out there getting lit, and everything else, Johnny Gill and Ralph Tresvant were sitting up there stalking that trademark. And I think it was like the day or the second day after the trademark expired, they was like, oh, let me get that right quick. Let me get that. So there's a reason why when they were on the Breakfast Club, what was that, Belle Biv DeVoe and Bobby Brown and them, they were like, we got to talk a certain way. Yeah. Why ain't Johnny Gill and Ralph Tresvant here? Because they didn't say, because they own the trademark now. So if there's going to be a New Edition tour, we got to talk to Johnny Gill and Ralph Tresvant like we got some sense, because they own the trademark now. It's not owned by the record label. It's owned by our bandmates. So we can't really smart off to them like we used to back in the day. We got to talk to them like we got some sense, because they own the trademark now. So that's the way that goes. So you never know when you might have to do something. Might be a trademark dangling out there somewhere. Ain't nobody grabbed it. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Let me get my trademark attorney. Let me hold that right quick. Let me hold this. Okay, I got a feeling somebody gonna come calling for this in a little bit, so let me hold it. So you never know when you might have to gangster your way through something. Jason, are you really saying? I'm really saying that. You never know when you might have to gangster your way through something. Some of y'all children might look up one day and the Burger King trademark is lapsed. Might not. That generational wealth might have just swung right in. You never know. Somebody at the company wasn't paying attention. They just figured somebody gonna handle that. The man fell off a bridge somewhere and nobody remembers when the damn thing gonna expire. Your kids looking at it. Oh, I'll be damned. Tomorrow. What do you know? Now I'm the Burger King. Like the movie Coming to America. It's like, okay, now I'm the Golden Arches. What do you know? That generational wealth just blew up real quick. Okay. All right. What did I tell y'all last night? By any means necessary. By any means necessary. So you might have to gangster your way through something. I'm preparing y'all for the real world, just in case you got to gangster your way through it. Let me go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom again. I got Mr. N over here on Zoom. Mr. N, make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on for me here, just so we don't have any trolling issues. Mr. N, I can give you 3 more seconds for that, then I got to move on. Mr. N, I can give you 2 more seconds for that, then I got to move on. Mr. N, I can give you 1 more second for that, and then I got to move on. Okay, Mr. N has been abducted. It's perfectly fine by me. Mr. N has been abducted. Okay. Yeah, like I told the brother there, I'm not. We're not here to fund the HBCUs. Y'all had your chance. The HBCUs had their chance. They had their chance to prove to us that they're serious about literally anything. The only thing they've been serious about is taking orders from their so-called white liberals that many of them are in bed with figuratively and literally. So the only thing that they're interested in teaching is intersexual dynamics. We need power dynamics and economic dynamics, and all they want to discuss is sexual dynamics. Now, they don't do that with their children. They don't do that with their children. So the HBCUs ain't really got nothing to offer. You've been co-opted. You've been corrupted. You've been turned. We need real, concrete, tangible assets, and they are not training for any of that. But if you want to be a black feminist and study bell hooks, well, they got your number. If you want to be, damn me, a crackhead laugh off like Amanda Seals, I said that, baby. If you want to be a moist moron like Mark Lamont Hill, they got you covered. Now that's what you'll learn working with them. That's what they train you for. Oh yeah, and one more thing. You notice them niggas is silent about this case too, by the way. I want to remind you all again, I said at the beginning, all you so-called HBCU grads and all the folk on these places, you notice they ain't said nothing. We've been covering this thing day to day. They ain't said nothing. They ain't saying nothing. Yeah, recognize the signs of who's been bought off. Recognize the signs of folk who, that's what they're there for. They're there for that. They're there for that. So no, I want to talk to the students at the HBCUs. I do not want to talk to the HBCUs. Somebody in the chat room said 100 black men. Yeah. No, Jasmine Crockett was AWOL. Jasmine Crockett has been radio silent. Go onto her Twitter page. If you all want to enrage yourselves, go to her Twitter page. You can go to her Twitter page right now. If you want to enrage yourselves. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen from us. It is not going to happen from the schools. It is not going to happen from the alumni. That's one more thing I want to talk about here, the damn alumni. I don't want to hear a damn word about the HBCU alumni. What the hell they done did? There is no organization. Everybody's trying to figure out how to get to some Sodom and Gomorrah party so they can have the damn freak off. Diddy had more HBCU graduates naked on video than you got any of them organizing for something useful. I said that. In the chat room, she just dropped a video. I'll be damned. Now that the fight is over? Okay, even if she did, now that the damn fight is over? Oh, I got something to say. Now that it's safely over, now that it's safely concluded, now I got something to say. Yeah, now that it's over and I won't be, now that it won't make any difference, I got something to say now. Oh, listen to me. I have something to say now. And by the way, I don't know if she released a video. You might be talking about TMZ. Okay, so folks, let's get that straight now. There's a difference between she released a video and TMZ or somebody caught her in a hallway somewhere.
Rep Crockett, you might have seen that Carmelo Anthony was sentenced to 35 years. I want to get your reaction to the trial and the verdict.
My heart breaks. For so many reasons. And so I was just speaking to a student that is shadowing me who wants to be a public defender, and so it takes me back to what actually made me decide to get into this legislative work in the first place, because I know that our systems are broken. And what we saw with that verdict is the evidence of a broken system. Now listen, from everything that I understand, which I wasn't at the trial because obviously I got a day job, but it's my understanding that
a day job doing what? Doing makeup for OnlyFans? A day job doing what? And I'm so glad that we sent you back to it, by the way. So glad we sent your ass back to it.
Carmelo ended up stabbing, puncturing, I don't know what this tool was that they talk about, knife, or some refer to it as a tool.
Okay, so did anybody talk about Jasmine Crockett was talking about it? Jasmine Crockett talked about it. This heifer don't even, now she's telling you she don't even know what the hell was going on. She'd have been better off not saying anything. Yes, and I gotta watch my damn language. I was about to call her what she is. Sitting up there smirking. That tells you how seriously she takes this. No, she doesn't know a damn thing about it. Yes, she's supposed to be a lawyer her damn self. Now she's playing dumb. Do you all think she doesn't know this? I know this and she don't know this. She lives in Texas, allegedly. In between freak offs, I imagine it's kind of hard for her to remember. But Jasmine Thought Pocket, by the way, hey folks. Jason, she made a video about it. She got caught in the hallway. Well, she was on TikTok, Jason. Okay. And when she's talking, she's playing dumb. Well, I don't really know what happened. Okay, but she started off by saying that this is a broken system, and she doesn't say what's broken. Well, I didn't really watch it. I don't really know. So this is non-committal. This is the same old bull jive.
Understand, which I wasn't at the trial because obviously I got a day job, but it's my understanding that Carmelo ended up stabbing, puncturing, I don't know what this tool was that they talk about, knife, or some refer to it as a tool. He ended up hitting Austin one time, and it was about where he hit him. One time, 2 inches. This wasn't someone who said, hey, let me stab you 5, 6, 7 times. And so when you're looking at the punishment range, there's a reason in Texas that it goes from 5 to 99 or life, because you are looking at how intentional, like how bad was this? 35 years for a kid who had decided to go under a tent that was not his team's tent as it was raining, and simply didn't want to be put out in the rain by some random kid that he didn't know who was larger than him. Listen, a lot of people don't know what it is to live as a black person in this country, but just like you can give the benefit of the doubt to so many police officers when they go out and they shoot some black unarmed person, even though they are trained, the fact that there was little to no mercy seen or humanity seen.
Where was this for the last damn year? Hey folks, where has this been for the last year? Where was this 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 1 week? Where the hell has this been for the last? Where the hell was she when we were talking about the all-white jury? Where the hell was this then? All we got is folk talking about what she said after it's over, so she can mobilize people and talk and turn on the camera after it's over. Where the hell was this a month ago, 2 weeks ago, people? Where the hell was it then? That's what I want to know. Where the hell has she been in the last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Oh, I'm sorry. She was trying to make sure she had a little old representative job for herself. Okay. Well, she doesn't even have that. Okay, then you should be going all out. So don't be fooled by these folks who are co-opted by and owned by the political establishment. She ain't said a damn thing before now. So as I said, yeah, after the fight's over, now she's got something to say. And even then, well, I don't know everything. Ma'am, you're a lawyer. Weren't you studying this? You're a lawyer. How is it I know more than you? I've been busy. So y'all want me to believe that she gathered together a bunch of folks she's been watching when she literally just told you she hasn't been paying attention to it and she doesn't even know the basics? Where the hell has this been all this time?
When this black boy said that I was scared, or the fact that honestly anybody else who did something with such a small object, all I know is that it wasn't considered unlawful carrying of a weapon because the blade was not long enough. That they wouldn't even say, well, maybe this was more so something that looked like manslaughter.
Well, some people might say, why are you even bringing a knife like that to a track meet?
Yeah, people may say that, but walk a day in my shoes and then respond.
Okay, that's the wrong damn response. This is what happens when you sitting up here. By the way, is this heifer trying to look like damn me Meg the Stallion? Folks, I'm trying to prevent myself from going Eddie Murphy raw on this heifer. She's literally sitting up here trying to look like Meg the Stallion. She's literally sitting up here trying to look like Meg the Stallion. This is your damn coon-ass representation from these folks out here. Blanco, not today unless you got a law license. This is what happens when you let the damn bandstand of coons run things. They elect folk like this. Ooh, she look like Meg the Stallion. Let me cast my vote. This is what happens when the coons and hoes are allowed to put up their stuff. I voted for her. She look like Meg the Stallion. A U.S. congressperson, and this is their contribution. And when asked about this, talking about walk a mile in my shoes, I'll be damned. If you had asked Representative Jason Black about that, I would have said Kyle Rittenhouse had an actual weapon. Carmelo Anthony did not have a weapon, sir. Did you not hear me just explain to you? As a matter of fact, he didn't really have a weapon. Kyle Rittenhouse had a real weapon that was illegal. And that wasn't a problem at either the state level nor the federal level. That gun that he had was illegal. It was a straw man purchase. And neither the state nor the feds did anything. So we've covered Carmelo Anthony under that. So whatever he had is no longer a problem, because if it was not a problem for Kyle Rittenhouse at the state or federal level, then Carmelo Anthony is covered. Now, unless you have an answer for me as to why Kyle Rittenhouse's weapon, illegal weapon, did not get him in trouble, that's going to be the standard that we use. Now, that would have been my answer. Not no walk a mile in my shoes. No. You put the white supremacist on trial. I mean, why did he need a knife? For the same reason that Kyle Rittenhouse needed his illegal gun. And the court said that that was perfectly justified. So Carmelo Anthony needed something the same way that Kyle Rittenhouse needed his illegal gun. That's the reason why. That right there. Okay, folks. If people got here late, they're about to get the work. We already told you, if you're on Zoom, this is not general discussion. General discussion was last weekend and last night. I'm looking for a specific type of person calling in today. If it's not it, off we go. Okay, Blanco, are you an attorney?
No, not personally.
Okay, are you a law student, sir?
No, not
Okay,
right now.
give me a call back on the weekend. Folks, attorneys, law students, I'll talk to y'all. General discussion was last night or this weekend, not today. Okay, I've got, I don't even know what this name here is. Itch, unmute yourself. Okay, Itch, are you an attorney?
No.
Okay, are you a law student?
No.
Okay, call us back on the weekend or whatever. Folks, I'm only talking to attorneys or law students today. That's all I'm talking to is folk in the pipeline. When I'm talking about what we gonna do, I'm talking about what we gonna do to make this political class that we've been talking about. We done made some headway. I done got a few emails. I'm just letting y'all know that part. Now I got a few emails because I'm really only got my ear out for attorneys here. I really only got my ear out for that. That's what I'm on right now. Yes, I understand it's the first step. Yes, I understand it's only one. Yes, I understand it's a down payment. Damn it, we got to do something. These other folks know the value of that, and your damn so-called lawyers. Jasmine Crockett is an attorney, and she's as useless as windshield wipers on a donkey's ass. Your so-called legal class. That's what the hell you end up with. They sit up here and put on their damn makeup. Let me tell y'all got heifers like this all over Atlanta. Atlanta is filled with Jasmine Crockett's. Stupid, unintelligent, unaccomplished, no case law, no significant cases, no wins, makeup, all caked up on their faces, auditioning to be video vixens, and let's just call it what it is, auditioning to see if they can get a zaddy. Let's just say that. Let's just call that for what it is. These are the chicks out here auditioning for a zaddy. Ain't that right, Kamala Harris? They couldn't make it as lawyers. They're so nakedly, obviously incompetent. And the real goal is to see if there's a zaddy out there. But you see, you gotta fight and throw elbows because the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the Nancy Maces, and by the way, Nancy Mace, I think, came in 5th last night.
Oh, please.
Gotta do that sound drop for Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace got her ass broken. I even had to post up about that. Nancy Mace said, enjoying my first cup of coffee since getting my ass kicked last night. And I'm like, well, OnlyFans is waiting for you now, so you got plenty of time for that. But yeah, Nancy Mace, she got her hip bone broken last night. Now she can go back to thotting full time. But then again, there's a whole bunch of them in that spot. Ain't that right, Jasmine? So I want you all to not be deceived. It's a whole bunch of them up there in Washington wearing skirts and auditioning to see if they can get sponsored by one of these millionaires or billionaires that come through DC. And I've been telling y'all about that for over a decade. If you all want an education about how it works for these females in Washington, DC, I'm going to say it today. If you all want an education about how it works in Washington, DC, take yourself down there by the Washington Memorial or up the street from the Capitol building. They got those parking garages in particular. So there are the parking garages down there by the end where the White House is. Do yourselves a favor. Go there at 6 in the morning. You want to go there at this time of year. Don't go in the wintertime because number one, it's cold. Number two, it's darker. You do it now during this time of year, springtime, summertime. You do it now. Go there at 6 in the morning and you'll see the females coming out with their, ain't a bunch of a bunch of Timberland wearing, overalls wearing chicks with baggy pants. Hell no. It's a bunch of chicks with pencil skirts, high heel shoes. It's a bunch of chicks dolled up with pencil skirts and high heel shoes, walking them sidewalks at 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning. Any of my folk who live in DC and work in the Capital District, you've seen this. Any of you want a real education about DC? I'm putting you up on game. Go there Monday through Thursday. Go there Monday through Thursday, not on the weekends, Monday through Thursday. After 6 in the morning, you're going to see them start coming out. At 6 in the morning, you're going to start seeing them make their way out. And you're going to see a bunch of pencil skirts and a bunch of heels. And it's not going to be a bunch of fat LGBT militant looking ones neither. That's not what you're going to see. Although if you really want an education about it, go watch C-SPAN. You can see these congressmen with their congressional assistants sitting behind them when they have their congressional hearings. You haven't seen a size 16 working for a congressman or a congresswoman. You haven't seen them doing that. That's not the way that goes. You all can turn on C-SPAN and see these congressmen with their congressional aides, those females sitting behind them. That's not the general public. Those are not members of the gallery. Those are their aides. Those are their interns. Those are their interns, and you haven't seen a size 16 among their interns yet. So all them LGBT looking, stud looking, butch looking ones, they sit up here and talk that trans mess. These people don't have any trans interns. They don't have any trans assistants. They don't have any LGBT, damn me, Beetle Bailey built Sergeant Buckwald looking chicks working for them. It's all a bunch of size 6, size 8, might see a size 10, but that's going to be the ceiling. They got their hair did. They got little Indian chicks, little Hispanic chicks, a few Asians. Those are the interns and the congressional assistants. And you can see them making their way to the Capitol building. Do yourselves a favor. You can either be down there by the White House where the parking garages are, or you can be, hell, you can be in the damn parking lot at the Capitol building. They got parking spaces. For those of you who didn't know, they got parking spaces right there in front of the Capitol building. So you can see them making their way in the front, or if you really want to view in the back, you can see them walking through there. You can see them walking through the back. So all up in the mornings, you see them chicks. The way Jasmine is looking, that's the dress code. Although usually they wear black colors or something like that, but the way Jasmine is looking, yeah, this is what they do. This right here, that's the look. This is what they do. Black, white, Latina, Indian, Asian. And by the way, you notice how she looks, this is a lot like Kamala Harris. This is a lot like Kamala Harris, in case you didn't notice. For those of you who are unaware. Yeah, when the trial was going on, we didn't have no backup. When the trial was going on, there wasn't anybody but us. When the trial was going on, wasn't nobody saying nothing. It was just us, man. As usual. It was just us. Same as it's always been. Same as it's always been. Let me go ahead and show y'all something else. Once again, don't be fooled by the white supremacist media. The white supremacist corporate media, don't be fooled by that. Don't be fooled by them. Do not let them deceive you into thinking it's something that it ain't. These folk know full damn well what the hell they're doing. Want to show you something here on your screens. Let me go ahead and pop this up right quick. Here's Newsweek. Now be damned, the new black media has been saying this since day one. We've been saying this since the very damn beginning. People, where the hell Newsweek been? Hey, folks, I've been talking about this since the damn event happened. We keep bringing up Rittenhouse. Newsweek, well, Rittenhouse walked, Anthony got 35 years. The cases differ, not really. But America's judge is feared by tribe, not law. Okay, where the hell was this article a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 6 months ago, people? That's what I'm saying. Where the hell was this then? Where was it then? Where was Jasmine Crockett then? So don't sit up here and think that you're going to thrill me by showing this stuff now. Where the hell were these folk then? They should have been saying this stuff, man. They should have been saying this. You only had one place that was saying this. The new black media. The rest of these folk been damn me silent the whole damn time. What the hell was their malfunction? I'm not doing what some of y'all think I'm doing right now. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Understand that. We're not doing that. I want you all to understand exactly what these folk are doing. So before you sit up here and run to their defense and so, Jason, they out there, it's okay. All right. Let me show you something. No, let me show you something here. Let me go back here for a moment. All right, here's Jasmine Crockett's Twitter. Here's Jasmine Crockett's Twitter feed, folk, back on May 8th, over a month ago. She's worried about congressional districts. She worried about her damn self. May 8th. May 8th, she's worried about congressional districts. That was Jasmine Crockett's focus. Congressional districts. Herself. The Trump election day in California on June 1st. People, the damn trial was getting ready to start the next day, June 2nd. They getting ready to crank it up on June 3rd. She ain't saying nothing. June 2nd, she doing every damn thing, but don't tell me about what Jasmine Crockett was doing. I followed what she was doing. June 3rd, she's worried about California. June 3rd, she was worried about California. June 3rd, the damn trial started. Don't tell me about what you think she was doing. I was watching her. If you weren't, that's on you. I was watching her. This is what she was doing. June 4th, happy birthday. Ski-wee! Being a doctor is impressive. You know what the hell is impressive? Stopping the white supremacists from railroading black folk. You. Okay. Yeah. Titles, people. Titles. This is the coon class. This is the congressional coon class. This is what the hell it is. June 9th. People, June 9th. This was yesterday. June 9th. What you gonna tell me she was doing, man? Who you fooling? I followed what she was doing. Oh, what do you know? 19 hours ago. Clock it with Thought Pocket. And bringing on the whole damn coon band. Alpha Phi fraternity. Okay, folks, y'all are gonna get me up in here, spike my blood pressure, and have me cursing and screaming. Yeah. People, did I call it or did I call it? Yeah, this is what they're doing. This is the representation. Yeah. This is Jasmine Crockett's representation for us up here. Didn't say a damn word until the whole thing was over. Where the hell were any of these people when it was going on, when we could have done something? You know, something like get that damn suspect attorney up out of there? Where was Jasmine Crockett to help him get a real damn attorney? Where the hell are they? Where the hell was all this backup to help him get a competent attorney. Radio silent. They didn't circle no damn wagons. Donald Trump just sat up here and wanted to set up a damn me war fund for him and his insurrectionist followers. Now that's what sitting Republicans are doing. Getting actively involved. We already covered that with Kyle Rittenhouse. Ain't that right, Thomas Massey? Ain't that right, Thomas Massey? Can't forget about you. Kyle Rittenhouse's biggest booster and best buddy, Thomas Massey and Lauren Boebert. Oh, we cannot forget about the wages of sin. Thomas Massey. Okay, well, those are white sitting Republicans who found the time and the ability to come to the aid of the white supremacists. And Jasmine Crockett said, I ain't got time for that. And then she shows up after the fact. And I didn't really want to go deep into this, but I want to remind you that, by the way, yeah, I've been monitoring the events. We're going to go into this deeper on Saturday, I suspect. I don't think anything else is going to occur. We're probably going to go deeper into this on Saturday. So, yes, we have to mount our own legal defense. We have to mount our own legal establishment. We got to do that ourselves, because the rest of these coons and clowns, this is what the hell you get. A bunch of bibbity-bobbity biddies sitting up here worried about they damn footwear because they looking to get picked up by a zaddy. Let's just call it for what it is. Jasmine Crockett is hoping that she gets a phone call from somebody. She's hoping that one of the pervert class out there give her a phone call. By the way, this fella back here looks familiar. Why does this dude look so familiar? Because I could have sworn, did I see him standing back here behind her? Like, is he the assistant? I don't know what's going on. He was, I want to say, is that the fellow who was walking around back there shucking and jiving behind her? Is that him? Okay, to be continued. All right, not sure. To be continued. We'll see. In any case, yeah, Jasmine wants y'all to know that she's trying to get picked up here, which is her only thing. Have I got my makeup did? My hair did? Do I look like Meg Thee Stallion? Can I get a Clay Thompson? Hell no. Hell no. You can get the hell up out of here. That's what you can get. If you're gonna go out on your shield anyway, people. If you're gonna get run out anyway, damn it, get run out with your boots on. As they said in Sparta, come back with your shield or on it. If you're gonna go down, damn it, have the honor of going down the right way. There is no dishonor in going down the right way. No greater love hath a man than to give up his life for his friends or his people. And this is a heifer who wouldn't do either. And this is all that Washington, D.C. cultivates. And they're incubators at the state level. A bunch of grinning ass mammies who ain't got no wins on the damn board. You got legal degrees and people who volunteer to support the white supremacists. And meanwhile, over here, all we get's a bunch of thoughts. But then again, I guess that's to be imagined because no one ever accused Jasmine Crockett of being a competent litigator. No one would ever confuse her. In the legal field, they see this kind of mannequin stumbling through the door every damn day. Anybody who's been at the courthouse, you know them when you walk through the doors. Oh, I'm saying too damn much. Fulton County. Go to the courthouse in Fulton County, Tarrant County, Dallas County, Manhattan District Court. You'll see them come up in there with their tight skirts and shoes on. Just understand, they hoping they gonna get picked up too. Couldn't win an argument with a dead dog. Pretending that they got a law degree. Won't talk about what they did to get it. If Fannie the Mammy Willis, side chick to DJ Scrap Slurry. Well, I don't want to say, folks get mad when I say Scrap Dirty. I don't want to put that on Scrap Dirty now. I don't want to put that on Scrap Dirty, so let me stop there. Folks get sensitive when I do that. I'm shout out to Scrap Dirty now. But DJ Broke 50, she could be a side, a DJ in Atlanta can be laying on top of the damn district attorney. This is what we got. And what she realized was, oh my God, I didn't say anything. I want y'all to understand that's what happened here. She realized, oh my God, I didn't say anything. By the way, when she doesn't have a chance to get made up for the cameras, she doesn't look like Meg the Stallion anymore now, does she? Yeah, more like Meg the Pony. Isn't that amazing? When she doesn't have a chance to do that, she don't look like Meg the Stallion anymore. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, when she doesn't have prep time, oh, she comes out looking like a different person. When she knows cameras are going to be there, oh, can you make me up like Meg the Stallion? As if that's going to do what? So yeah, y'all, she woke up last night and realized she didn't say nothing. Yeah, black credentials straight down the damn drain. Where the hell was this for the last year, the last month, the last week? I didn't bring receipts, I brought invoices. By the way, y'all, is she sitting up here trying to give you an overhead shot for cleavage? Okay, let me just stop because we can handle all this weekend. We can handle this weekend. But yeah, folks, do you see what she's trying to do here? So everything else can show her face. She wants to make sure you see some cleavage, yeah, baby, because your days in Congress are running out now. You in the last days, so while she still can get some attention, she's like, hey, is somebody want to do a sponsorship? Okay, baby, you and Marjorie Taylor Greene gonna have to slug it out for that. You, Marjorie, Lauren Boebert, Nancy Mace, Kirsten Sinema. Damn, this bus is getting full, nigga. This bus is getting full, ain't it, y'all? The line is getting long. Yeah, Jasmine, it's standing room only at this point, baby. You ain't the only one. It's a whole bunch of congresswomen right now trying to get in where they fit in. Plus, the aides and the interns are much younger than y'all, so it's ain't gotta wear so much makeup. So yeah, baby, the line getting long. Competition is thick. It's like the NFL Combine right now. Competition thick. So yeah, baby, I don't blame you for trying. I'm just letting you know, the odds are gonna be thick out here. So I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. What'd she say? It worked for Kamala Harris. Okay. It worked for Kamala Harris. So, all right, y'all. Let me show you my water bra. Okay. Hey, y'all. Okay, she wants to show y'all her water bra, so go ahead. Get in where you fit in. But yeah, she woke up and realized that she hadn't said anything. Okay, let me go ahead and jump over here on Zoom. We'll see about taking one more call here. I got emails that are piled up on me. Sophia, whoever Sophia is, make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on. I'll give you 5 seconds, then we got to move on. Okay, hello.
Hello.
Hello, Sophia. What's on your mind?
Hey, I am an international law student from Spain.
Okay, where were you born?
I was born in Venezuela, but I am currently living and studying in Spain.
Okay.
So I want to know, because I follow this case, and I want to know, why are you making it about race when it seems clearly that he is guilty?
Okay. I don't see you, ma'am. Okay, there you go. All right. Have you followed the case, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay, what tell me what you know about it then.
I know that it was not in self-defense.
How do you know that? You're from Venezuela and you're in Spain, so how do you define self-defense for America? In Texas. What is self-defense in Texas, ma'am?
Well, I know that.
Okay, ma'am, let me try this again. What is self-defense in the state of Texas? Because you just said, I know it's not self-defense. Great. Tell me what qualifies as self-defense in the state of Texas. That's a simple question, Sophia. Ma'am, that's a simple question. You said, I know it's not self-defense. Great. Educate me. What is the self-defense statute in the state of Texas? She's still right there, y'all. She's just looking at me now. She's not saying anything. She's hearing me. She's just not saying nothing. Ma'am, you're just going to stare at me? Okay, she hung up. Okay, she hung up. I just want to advise you all of one thing. I'm not a lawyer. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you, I will tell you all one thing. I could kick my own ass sideways because literally a decade and a half ago, I was talking to one of my girlfriends about just that, about going to law school. And I said, but it would take too long. I got other things to do. Do you realize I would have been out that damn thing and been practicing for probably 6 or 7 years now? I could kick my own ass. I really could. Like, y'all know that machine from the cartoons, that wheel with all the boots on it that you just start cranking it up so you can kick your own ass. I could put myself in front of one of those every morning when I think about that. You all just saw what I just did to her. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. And you saw what I just did. Okay, it's not just 3 years. We already covered that. It's not just 3 years. It's going to be closer to a decade before you ready to start throwing blows. But, yeah, I'm not a lawyer. And do you see what I just did to her? And I'm not a lawyer. Can you imagine her being in front of a jury trying to convince you that it's not self-defense? It ain't that damn difficult when they say something like that. What makes a competent attorney is the ability to dissect fallacious arguments. She literally didn't survive the first question. She literally didn't make it through the first question, and she gave me all the ammunition. I'm studying international law, and I know it wasn't self-defense. Great. Tell me what the self-defense law is in Texas, since you know it wasn't self-defense. Hello? Hello? Hey, you said you know it's not. Hello? Anybody there? And she was just sitting up there looking at me, y'all. She was just sitting up there looking at me the whole time. I said that, and she just sitting there looking at me. So I didn't turn her off or anything. She just froze. She just stopped talking. No, these people aren't geniuses. No, they're not some damn brain trust. No, they're not the smartest people in the damn room. But the dumbest people in the room are gonna beat you every day if they showed up and you didn't. And let this be a testament to how incompetent the black attorneys are. Because if this is what I can do as a lay person, what the hell is this we got coming out of these law schools? And then no wonder they had to go to Congress, because they knew they couldn't make it in the legal field. Look at you, Jasmine. No wonder they're all sitting in Congress trying to get picked up by a sponsor, because they knew they had no future in the legal field. They're not qualified. Neither is Megyn Kelly, Gretchen Carlson, or the rest of them. Neither are they either. By the way, I would mop the floor with them like a Swiffer if I was in front of them. No law license required, though it damn sure helps if I gotta be in front of a judge. Now, do you see how quickly that occurs? What the hell is Jasmine Crockett's excuse? If I can do that, folks, Judge Roach ain't no damn legal genius. The prosecutor wasn't a damn legal genius. These are a bunch of backwater, hillbilly, recessive, inbred, white supremacist dog trash. They're not geniuses. They never have been. Bull Connor wasn't some closet erudite intellectual. Neither was Lincoln Rockwell, George Wallace, or the rest of their dog-like caveman Cro-Magnon kind. The problem is that we sat back assuming that somebody else's children would take the wheel and somebody else would groom and raise competent kids. And then if we got in a bind, somebody else was taking care of the job of creating the next Thurgood Marshall and the next Johnny Cochran. We assumed that that was what was occurring, and that if it didn't work, that's okay. We'll just go hire some white attorneys. Then you woke up one day and realized all the white attorneys are on code with the people attacking you. That was what you woke up one day and realized. All the white attorneys you thought you were going to run to, why, they're on code and working in conjunction with the people that you're asking for protection from. So much for that strategy. We're going to be talking about this again soon. We'll be talking about this again soon. To my brothers and sisters from around the world, I'm going to have some talks with some people. But yeah, we're going to see if we can bypass the normal instruments here. By the way, one more thing just to remind you of, this is why we have to be able to take care of our own funding, and you can't wait until after these things are done, because this is the game these folks are playing, man. This is the game these folks are playing. They're playing it like this. They hate you because you're black, but they work to victimize you because you're poor, off code, and disorganized. So look how they can yank the rug out from up under you when you're dependent on them. So we have to have mechanisms to be able to circumvent that type of shutting you down. It's not a game. Before I go any further here, I want to send a shout out, of course, to everybody who contributed to support this program here today. We weren't really trying to do a whole lot here today, but I wanted to show up for that. So Prince Raw D over here, thank you very much for your support. For Q6234, thank you very much here as well. My man, Mr. Richburg, is up during the day. I keep him moving on daylight hours, so you know how that goes. Shout out to you, Brother Richburg. I appreciate that, brother, as always. To everybody else here, thank you all for tuning in, and to everyone supporting this. Letting you all know that that's the direction I'm going in with it here. I want to go straight to the students. The word is going to be given when it is. You're getting plenty of notice right now. The word's going to be given. And then that's the direction we're going in. You will not see immediate results. You will not see instantaneous results. We are planting seeds. Because this is what it's like when you ain't got a tree to stand under. You just out in the damn heat which is where we are today, and ASAP Rocky might be able to get Johnny Cochran's apprentice to answer the phone. You try getting Johnny Cochran's apprentice to answer the phone and see what happens when you do. You can't count on that. Well, ASAP Rocky can get him. Well, Jay-Z can get him there. Stephon Diggs can get one. Okay, watch what happens when you call the exact same law firm. Watch what happens when you call them. And you got a real problem. And watch what happens when you do. This concludes this broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is injustice if we don't do something about it.